All right, welcome in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. We have a couple of massive topics to get to today, and we will have some help covering those throughout the course of the show. But we don't usually expect during this point in the calendar for huge college football news to be coming down that needs to be discussed, that we're going to break down, that we're going to get into. And we've got that today, Greg, starting with a potential commission on college athletics that Donald Trump is going to put together, reportedly, that would include Nick Saban as the co-chair, along with Texas Tech board co-chair Cody Campbell. If you don't know, Cody Campbell is the mega booster at Texas Tech that sold his oil company for $7 billion or something. I mean, I think he's doing okay. Either way, this looks like there is real interest from this administration in trying to at least address or help or aid or do what they can for college sports.
I think it's absolutely fantastic. Like, I couldn't be happier about it. I don't think there's a better person to have in charge of it as Nick Saban. And I mean, he's lived it. He's been in the saddle. Like, he understands the challenges that surround this current situation, coaching, playing, existing in college athletics. Who knows it better than Nick Saban? And even Nick Saban's biggest adversaries all believe that he has the best interest of college sports in mind. I really, truly believe he wants that to be his legacy, even beyond what he did as a coach. So I think it's fantastic. It's great that they were able to connect last week prior to the commencement address. And I just hope, and this is a huge hope, because I seldom have a ton of faith in the action and decisiveness of politicians, but I do feel like this administration has kind of, if they've wanted to do it, they've definitely tried to enact it. So I'm hopeful that maybe this is the opportunity to potentially break through and get something done.
All right, so my question following up on this, if it does take place, and Ralph Russo actually broke this, and he'll be at The Athletic. He'll be joining us at 7:20 to discuss. And can it actually work? Because we've talked about all these different things, and even this commission that's going to be laid down by Congress, I have doubts that it's going to work in its totality, because as we've always stated, Greg, as we've always talked about, lawsuits. Somebody's going to sue. Is there a way for this administration to be able to get this done? And I think first and foremost, if you are sort of rooting for the good of college football, now there's going to be people out there that they're rooting for the good of college football is let the kids get their money. Kids deserve to be able to leave. Kids deserve to be able to have, free enterprise, open market, freedom to transfer, all that. I don't think a lot of us here in this listening audience or in this building, that's kind of what we root for. But is there a better person's ear or a better person to get the president's ear on this than Nick Saban? That, like you said before, can cleanly discuss it, can accurately tell him what's happening, can attempt to come up with some solutions that might be realistic, one, and then two, can they actually get something done that would change the future of college football?
Yeah, and I think, is there a better collaborator with Nick Saban than Donald Trump? And you can, regardless of how you feel about Donald Trump, this is not some type of political endorsement by any stretch. What I'm suggesting is that Donald Trump has owned professional sports franchises. He understands the importance of college sports. Like, he is a real sports fan. Like, he really is. Not one that's just doing it for television. He genuinely likes sports and likes football and watches it. And I think cares greatly about it. Living in New York, I spent a decent amount of time around him, and he was always really into him, and Sanchez were really close, and they used to always engage in conversations about what the Jets were doing. He was very much well-versed in what was going on the field. So, like, he cares. And I think,
he knew, like everybody else, Shedeur should have been off the board well before the 6th.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he's dialed in the NFL draft prep, but that's beside the point. I just think that Trump is the type of guy that's like, I don't really care if you try to sue us, I'll do it anyways. Like, this is my last term anyways. I don't really care. Like, I just don't care. Like, I feel
like that might be more in line with everything other than just if you try to sue me, just in general.
Yeah, sure.
He's going to do what he wants to do.
He doesn't care.
It's one of the things that makes him successful.
I feel like most of the politicians that would be put in this position would always be concerned about the possibility of fallout, about the possibility of their impact, their legacy being impacted by this, it being a black eye on the administration. Like, Trump doesn't care. So, like, if they're actually going to get something done, I think it's the right president and the right commission leader in Nick Saban to get the job done. Now, I don't love having the multi-billion-dollar oil man necessarily involved, because I feel like guys like that are why we're in the situation that we're in right now. But maybe he can kind of pull back the curtain on what it's like from a booster standpoint, from a collective standpoint, and how they can all kind of work together. So I'm cautiously optimistic and hope something gets done.
I'm going to disagree with you on that. I think it's actually great to have Cody Campbell on this because, well, and that will depend on, I guess, his direction, his honesty, and in his approach. But what better way to convince somebody that things need to change, things need to be done, or show people firsthand what's wrong with it than somebody who, Greg, can go in there and admit, hey, I have $6 billion in the bank. I have fronted a completely new stadium renovation, a completely new football facility, and I am solely responsible for these 38 kids being on the football team and basketball team. And it probably shouldn't operate that way. But if there's people like me out there that can do it, we'll go do it. Maybe it shows from a different perspective of, okay, that's how you did that. Okay, yeah, this doesn't need to continue this way. So I think it gives I don't think I wouldn't imagine that. I mean, Cody Campbell played at Texas Tech. So I think there's probably a portion of him that, yeah, wants Texas Tech to be good. But I think he also probably, I don't know him, probably respects college football, knows the history of college football, wants college football to be great in a lot of different ways. So I don't know if that would be a bad idea. Co-founded Double Eagle Energy. And that's a
sports drink, or that's a gas pipeline.
I know that you obsess with how much Prime is worth, and your guy Jake, whatever his name is,
it's not worth as much anymore.
You'd rather have this one.
Yes,
just almost. It's close.
What about Red Bull or this?
Double Eagle, probably with the way you want to go. Yeah,
I don't know. Red Bull pretty good.
Let me tell you the real reason you want
gives
him
you
in
wings.
There. Let me tell you the real reason you want him in there.
Yeah.
4-year letterman at Texas Tech on the
lacrosse team.
That's disrespectful.
What's wrong with that? I bought lacrosse sticks yesterday for Vince and I. It's a new activity.
Ticks or sticks?
Sticks.
I thought you said ticks. I was like, who plays here?
Lax ticks.
I didn't know if there's somebody you could go see. I was like, is the Team USA coming? I didn't know. I know he played on the offensive line at Texas Tech.
Ugh. Probably sloppy.
That's why Cole's in on him.
You talking about somebody?
All right, I love
Need
this
representation.
Guy. Yeah.
You talking about somebody who knows the game.
Well, at least we know now that
but we know how offensive linemen think. They're not selfish.
Yeah.
They're not out for them.
No, never.
They're not all about just making money.
Trophies. I want buffalo wings.
He can just come up with his own.
No, I mean.
By the way, he played in the Hula Bowl, which I think is something we should still have. College All-Star game in Hawaii.
Something tells me, just shot in the dark here, without knowing the circumstances. Something tells me the Hula Bowl loses money.
Lost money? Which is why it's not around anymore?
I think that's a safe bet.
Probably. Let's
fly a bunch of average football players to Hawaii to play on a quote-unquote all-star game.
No, I think it's completely fair. And I personally think it's two good people to have there. And I don't know Cody Campbell very well, but I do feel like that you want a different perspective on it. You want the other side of it. Nick Saban's going to give you his side. Cody Campbell can give you the other side. And like I said, he's on the board of Texas Tech, the university. So he's not going to be pushing for things that are going to be bad for the school. And he played football there. So yeah, he wants them to be good, but he probably has a little bit of an idea. And he played offensive line. It's not like he had people handing him $100 bills walking in the stadium every week. So I think he probably respects the game, respects college football, respects history, and wants to keep a portion of that going. Can you ask him to come in here real quick? Before we move on, morning show's put together a pretty good segment every day that they're doing the Mount Rushmore of different schools. Did you hear?
How'd you come up with that?
Yeah, it's. Did you hear this on the way in today, Greg?
No.
Were you trying to go for engagement, Damian, or you honestly think Chris Leak is one of the 4 best players in the history of Florida football?
No, I honestly think he's one of the 4 best. All-time leading passer.
He
played. I mean, again, the Tim Tebow
You know,
thing.
like Rex Grossman didn't start for 4 years. Like, and Tebow was a dual threat, so he ran the ball a lot. So
fullback.
Like Werfel wasn't a 4-year starter. So like Chris Leak had the advantage of years played. Number one.
Fair. He also won Natty.
Yeah.
He had help.
I'm sorry. Do you
Are you
easy
crediting Tebow for that one too? I'm just asking.
No, what I'm saying is that like you don't win a Natty by yourself. Like everybody has help en route to a national championship, quarterback or otherwise. Or Cam didn't. I don't care.
No, he definitely did.
Yeah.
It's not as good as a lot of other people's. I'm not discrediting his national championship. I'm just saying he had more games than a lot of the other guys to be like. I mean, are you taking Rydell Anthony or Chris Doring?
Doring, obviously.
Of course. Well, Doring has more touchdown receptions. So, I mean, I don't think you can just say somebody leads a school in a statistic and that makes them the best ever. Okay, I just want to know if you legitimately thought,
like, seriously, who's the top receiver in Florida history, in your opinion?
That's difficult. I would probably take, this is just, are we counting Percy Harvin as a receiver?
He was more of like an all-purpose.
If it's Percy Harvin as a receiver, I'd probably take him. And people see, this is where just folks just don't know. I would take Jaquez Green or Jack Jackson.
So we had a Jaquez Green.
I don't remember Jack Jackson, but
Jack Jackson was that guy. I'm just telling you.
Rydell Anthony was that guy too.
Rydell was legit. But Jaquez Green, listen, here's the part. I was on the other side of the field when Jaquez Green caught a pass, ran for a touchdown, and threw a touchdown in the same game against a top 10 team. So
y'all were in the top 10?
Yeah. It's possible. I know you find that hard to believe. Nick Saban
not without Cam.
Yeah, it's the only way. You had to pay for your top 10.
What was the highest y'all rank when you were playing?
I don't remember.
Our top
10.
7, maybe, I think.
Okay. Greg, what about you?
It's the lowest I was 7.
Hey, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Really? 2007 was the lowest when you guys were ranked?
I wasn't on that team.
You weren't?
I was a backup. Doesn't count. You
You
don't play?
weren't
You don't
even-
play.
Okay.
You don't
I'll
play?
remember that.
Doesn't count.
I'll remember that. If you don't play, you're not.
If you don't play, doesn't matter.
Noted.
Yep.
Noted. Where were you preseason 08?
Didn't play. 08. 09, I think we were number 7.
Oh, so you shouldn't get credit for bringing the Tide back if you weren't there in 08, because that was like the year that was the springboard to all the good stuff.
Was it?
So we can start telling all these people who
mean-
stopped me on the street, like Greg brought us back. I can start saying that was John Parker that actually did that.
He did. I didn't play that year.
You threw a touchdown in the Iron Bowl, didn't you?
Saw his brother last
Obviously,
night. By the way.
it was against a terrible Auburn team. How hard was that?
I think I located that DVD and I have not gone to get the call of it yet. I need to pull that so we can listen to it. I saw his brother last night.
Oh, GBBA. We played baseball.
I had to explain to my kids last night why I was fired as a middle school offensive line coach.
You were fired?
What? How did this?
I talked to Ross about it
it?
because Ross was the quarterback. And he's like, man, I never forget like them sending you home, whatever. And I was like, I wasn't a student.
you at Hoover?
You can't send me home. They fired me.
You were the coach at
Bumpus
Hoover?
Middle School.
Oh. But that's in Hoover?
Number one, I tried to get him to not run Russ Probst's run game. We tried to put in outside zone, and Russ found out about it.
It was a no-no.
He wanted me gone then.
There's your sign.
But later,
Y'all are doing this all wrong.
I was the associate assistant, whatever you want to call it, offensive line coach. We had pretty bad practice one day. This is probably week like 4. Really bad practice. So we rolled after practice.
Pencils?
The kids rolled.
Pencil rolls.
They rolled.
Whatever you want to call
That's what
it.
you're talking about.
Fruit roll up. Like
Whatever you want to call it.
Okay, well, they're
Roll
called
out.
pencil rolls. Like you can do, they do somersaults? Like what are rolls?
you lay down flat and you roll.
Yes, pencil rolls.
Why not log rolls?
Me that too. But usually,
Gas
I
station
need
roller.
a
Yeah,
slide.
yeah.
Why not bat rolls?
I mean, fat rolls.
I got those.
You were
Swiss
coaching
rolls,
offensive
yeah, it's
line.
right
I mean, you
there,
said
yeah.
rolls. There's a lot of ways. Like
Swiss
dinner
rolls, yeah.
rolls. Boys got rolled. Okay, so you TP'd their house. Like, what does that mean? Like, I don't know what that means.
Paper towel dispenser rolls.
Yeah.
So
Guys,
we rolled,
today we're
yeah.
doing paper towel dispenser rolls. Get on your belly.
So I'm trying to explain this to my kids on the way home, and they're like, "That's yeah." I was like, "Why would you do that?" I was like, "Well, it's punishment," and they're all laughing. So I said, "Okay, cool. When we go home, we're going to do it." So we had all three of them out there rolling in the backyard last night. And I'll give the 7-year-old credit; he kept going.
Okay.
And then he was sick before bed.
Wait, why did you decide to do this after baseball?
The kids were asking why I was fired as a middle school assistant offensive
You got
line
fired
coach.
for rolling the kids?
Yes, the parents got mad.
Soft.
Oh my God.
I didn't fire myself.
Freaking typical.
The parents got
Right.
upset, and,
Err.
and the head coach, super nice guy, he was like, "I'm sorry, man, I gotta let you go." I
What?
was like,
Wait a minute.
"Y'all have already given me my $500 stipend for the year. You know that, right? Like that's all I get. I'm not giving any back." He goes, "They don't care. Just don't come back next week.
You're not gonna get sued by Hoover
No.
SD now after the fact.
Wow.
Go for it."
So
I got
who
Whitney
thought
Polson on my side. We're
that
good.
one time Cole Cubelic was in the wrong, but Rush Probst was in the right? Who knew?
Wow.
Why are we? What makes him in the right there?
You said you were teaching outside zone, and you're like, we don't do that here.
Well, we did it. We ran it.
We have 3-run
We
plays.
got it in.
Inside zone,
outside zone.
left, inside zone, right, and QB draw.
Well, Ross wasn't going to keep it, so we didn't need to be running zone read. It was a waste of time.
I'm fine with that.
Automatic give.
But yeah,
We'll run mink, man on man.
but it was just interesting. One, explaining to my children that Daddy got fired from a coaching job in middle school as a not even part timer, and then why for rolling.
I can't believe they fired
My daughter
you.
went about
Like,
10 yards and she got up and she goes, "Okay, I get it."
Yeah.
Like she didn't think it was funny anymore. She's like, "I
No.
got it." She was done.
It doesn't look hard.
No,
Right.
They were
The
laughing for the
200
first 5
yards
minutes.
later.
Yeah.
One way down, 5-year-old, 7-year-old were laughing about it. And then the second trip, they got about halfway. The 5-year-old, he couldn't go straight, so he got mad.
Yeah.
He was like, "I don't know where I am." And he's guy kept going sideways. And I was like, "Yeah, exactly."
Exactly.
The
You
rolls
waste,
aren't
you waste a
fun.
ton of energy going straight towards the sideline. And you
Correct.
realize, I got
And you don't
70
even
more
know
yards
it.
to go.
Man.
You don't even know it.
That was a real thing.
That's
Fired.
brutal.
Fired for it.
You're fired.
That's insane.
I think you should get fired for that. Cruel and
I came
unusual
up with
punishment.
just off the top of my head, Tebow, Spurrier, and Emmett, who I did not hear you guys mention Emmett very much today, would be absolute locks in for me. Just off the top of my head, I went Youngblood, Werfel, Fred Taylor, Lomas Brown, Javon Kearse, Percy Harvin, Mike Pouncey, and Kevin Carter ahead of Chris Leak. That was just like
Fair.
Wait, so what was theirs?
I had
mean,
Tebow, Harvin, Chris Leak, and Steve Spurrier.
why Spurrier? But just
Just-
make them
I mean,
all from
coaches-
from 2005 and after.
His coaching and his playing day. He was the first.
Yeah, I mean, he did win a Heisman
Right.
as a player. Did win a championship as a coach, but was he your last one in? Like,
No, he's number
just
2.
snuck him in there.
He was number 2. Tebow was the lock. He was the lock.
What are you thinking?
I mean, it's just it's just so bad. Like Spurrier wouldn't even make it over Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer has more championships. Like, and I love Spurrier.
You're incorrect on that. He won a Heisman as a player at the school.
He won 2 national championships, and nobody cared
And
about the
Steve
Heisman
Spurrier
in
won
1965.
and Steve Spurrier won one.
Yes, and lost how
8
many?
SEC championships.
Yeah, that's
Who
fine.
cares how many he lost? He won a Heisman as a player. That
I
puts
get
him
it.
ahead of Urban Meyer.
It's fine. I would take both off. I don't care. Danny Werfel didn't make it. He won a Heisman
He's
as a
in the
player.
mix. He's in the mix. I had him as my
Spurrier's in the mix too. I'm trying to figure out how you don't have like a defensive. Well, you do. He doesn't. How you don't have like a defensive warrior.
Yeah, I got
Is it-
Kearse and Kevin Carter in there, and Jack Youngblood.
Kearse, Joe Hayden.
I'm not putting Joe Hayden above those guys. Jack Youngblood's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Joe Hayden might be.
Yeah.
Only been like a elite corner for 14 years.
Okay. It's
He-
just not Chris Leak, is what it is. It's
fair.
not. It's not Chris Leak.
Threw a pretty ball.
He threw a
Yeah, you
very
only got
nice
4.
ball.
You only got 4 to choose from.
Very nice. Okay. And I guess that's why the conversation's good, because it goes back and forth and different people.
I
have
still don't know
different
how you
opinions.
came up with the topic. No one's doing that. How'd you come up with such a genius topic?
Cup of coffee, a 6er in, and we start.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Like nobody's doing Mount Rushmores
It's
right now.
not out there.
Nobody's
It's
doing
definitely
that.
not there.
I mean, these are like this is the type of stuff that to me just takes it to the next level. It's just
Appreciate it, bro.
genius, original content.
Thank you. I learned from the best.
Who, Landrum?
No.
Spring can be unpredictable, the weather here. That's why you need the reliability of a Trane, voted America's most trusted HVAC brand. Right now, you can receive up to a 10-year warranty on parts and labor on select Trane home comfort systems. Find out more at Trane.com. It's hard to stop a Trane. Ralph Russo with us next on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Watch live on YouTube. Search Jocks945. You can always tune in to the show there, JocksFM.com as well. Story posted up on The Athletic now. Ralph Russo, one of the four who are breaking this story about a commission on college athletics set to be put in place by President Donald Trump. Nick Saban expected to be named co-chair with Texas Tech Board co-chair Cody Campbell. Ralph Russo, one to help break that story, joins us on the Higginbotham Hotline now. Ralph, Greg was a little concerned with Cody Campbell being one of the co-chairs here. Why do you think that that might be a good or bad idea for this commission on college athletics?
My initial read on that is a pretty good idea. Now, I don't know Cody personally. I've read a couple of things he's written. I know his involvement with Texas Tech, and Texas Tech's been a pretty aggressive spender in the space right now. That's not a judgment on Texas Tech spending, but I think it's maybe a little bit of a tell. And why I think I would be somewhat optimistic about his involvement. And listen, there's a long way to go on this thing. I think a lot of people in college sports that didn't know anything more than that this was being talked about by the administration. So I think there's a lot of folks around the country who are like, okay, a commission, what's that going to do, and who's going to be on it? So, not necessarily surprised that Nick Saban's on it, because his conversation with President Trump was what sort of prompted this. And obviously Coach Saban has been a really, vocal advocate of college sports needs a lot of help right now. So as far as Campbell is concerned, I just don't think you can dial back some of the progress that has been made in college sports. The athletes need to get paid. Like, you can't roll those things back, right? The athletes are going to have a lot more freedom when they transfer. Now, do they need quite as much as they have now? Probably not. So somebody who's affiliated with a school that has been aggressive with paying its athletes and its football players, and not just football players, but prominent athletes, I think that that's probably a good sign that you're not going to get a bunch of ideas out of this commission that are antiquated and that will put the, college sports at risk of more lawsuits. But, again, the fact of the matter is it's a commission. These things usually take a long time. I think they have to, think more what this could do long term as opposed to what it might do in the next few months.
And I know that they're going to get it right. Sounds like they have the right people in place. I am, like I said, a little bit concerned about the people that created this problem being on the commission, a la $7 billion boosters. But I digress. If it's a necessary evil to have them involved, I totally support it. What do you think would be the first thing that this commission would be charged with? Is it trying to figure out pushing the House settlement through? Do they have an involvement there? Is it kind of stabilizing the current NIL situation? Is it putting a cap on the NIL? Is it creating a level playing field? Was it handling the transfer portal? Like, what exactly you think would be their first order of business?
So, Greg, I wish I could give you like a better answer than I'm not really sure. And again, but I think you have to understand the limitations of a commission, right? A commission is not going to necessarily make a law. I think their first order of business is to not get in the way, right? I think the settlement took another baby step towards being resolved, right? Like, the settlement's a pretty good thing. They need to not, make a bunch of suggestions that are going to muck up what is already in the works. I know this has been a long and brutal and not exactly the smoothest process, but there has been some progress here, and they need to make sure they get out of the way of that progress and sort of then say, okay, what's in place with the settlement? Where does this federal legislation stand? Here's the priority that might, I had somebody tell me this, some folks who are, have experience in politics. One on the record was in the story, Tom McMillan, who was a former U.S. congressman, a former NBA player, for a long, long time, led an AD organization. And his words were echoed by a few other folks who have some experience in politics. And what he sort of said is presidential leadership can help prioritize this for Congress, because that's where something really gets done, right? They need a law that will help boost or bolster the settlement, that will preempt state laws, that will give some antitrust protection. There's so much going on in Congress right now that they're not really getting anything done, but it's hard to make college sports a priority when there are other things that need to get done. But maybe with the president putting his stamp of approval on this, they might actually be able to get to and prioritize a bill, a bipartisan bill that will get passed, that will provide the things that college sports need to bolster the settlement terms.
What do you look at realistically can be done, not just from this commission, Ralph, but Greg and I kind of veered off into this part of the conversation of, listen, this commission by Congress is going to come down soon, and I personally don't think it fixes everything. Some people do, some people don't. The thing that I keep coming back to time and time again with idea after idea after idea is lawsuit. And I just feel like we've got kids that are literally discussing, threatening the NCAA for not letting them continue to just play college sports forever. And there are people who think that they will win and be able to continue to play. So it's gone against the grain of everything that it stands for multiple times over again. Is there a realistic, I guess, not even Band-Aid, but just massive operation that can repair what this is and not have it continue to go down the path that we've seen it go down the last 5 or 6 years?
So there's a lot there, Cole. Just to pull one thread, I think the eligibility lawsuits are not fundamentally sound. I don't want to get too bogged down on that point, but I think that that's a place where the NCAA has actually won some cases in the past, and there have been judges who have denied some of these injunctions in the eligibility cases. But I get your point. And in fact, in some ways, I think those cases help the NCAA and college sports leaders and conferences make the case to Congress that, like, hey, this has gotten a little absurd if we are asking, if athletes are just asking to play forever, right? That's really not the spirit of what we're doing here.
I'm glad you're saying that, honestly, but I understand you don't need to go into it, but I'm glad you believe that.
No, yeah, I mean, that's like, because nobody's asking for that, Cole, right? Like the reason why we got here is because the system was sort of unfair, right? There's billions of dollars being made in a minor league sports that happen to be jammed into a college atmosphere, into an educational atmosphere. And at a certain point, that was going to break, and that's why it did break, and that's why we have the athletes that now are going to get paid. But nobody's asking. Nobody's being wronged by not being able to play 8 years of college sports, right, or 7 years of college sports. So, but I think going back to the idea of some legislation, I do think if you put some legislation in place, antitrust, that simply allows the NCAA and the conferences and whatever this new governing body is going to be that's formed to enforce the House settlement, the ability to make rules that withstand the lawsuits, that are essentially give them cover to withstand the lawsuits. I think you can at least create a system that has a little more stability in it and is not being dragged into court all the time. So I do think that that's possible. I would also say that, like, again, like I just think there's a little bit of like, it ain't going back to what it used to be, right? It shouldn't be what it is now. It's not going back to what it used to be. So where is the space that we can all get comfortable and find some stability? I think there's a path there to that. I would also say commission be damned, because again, a commission is just a commission, guys. Like, they talk about things, they'd write a report, they submit that report, and hopefully the report leads to something, but it's not a lawmaking body. I think it could be a helpful thing, but understand that, like, it's not in a position to fix everything. So seems like a good idea. We'll see where it goes and who else is on it. And I do think it could be part of a solution. I do wonder, though, if for a lot of people, and I'm not saying this is you, Cole, for a lot of people, there is no solution because the solution for them would be what it was 10 years ago.
Sure.
There has to be some common ground, though, between where we're at now and what it used to look like. And I feel like it's universal in the sense that Nick Saban is probably the best person to help illustrate how the game has changed and how we can somehow meet in the middle. I don't know who else will be on this commission or what rumors you've heard, but I mean, is he not the most important figure in college athletics and has been for quite some time?
He is. I'm not sure that makes him the best person for this because, again, like, I think, listen, Nick Saban's a pretty smart guy, and he has been a person who has been able to adjust. I mean, that was right? Wasn't that always the greatest superpower of Nick Saban as a college football coach was adaptability, finding ways to evolve to keep his team great, right? As the game evolved, both on and off the field, Nick Saban was always sort of at the cutting edge of whatever was going on, or at least toward the forefront of whatever was going on, and that was create success. I think the problem when you've heard Saban talk is there's a little bit of that what sort of I'm getting at, where we need to go back to the way it was, or maybe we need to, pay everybody the same. And I think there's a little concern from folks like me that he wants too radical. He wants to pull things back a little too far. Now, that might not be the case. And when he's sitting around a table with a lot of smart people who say, hey, coach, I like this idea, but maybe we can do it this way. Like,
I'm
there's
sure
gonna
he'll
be
be
a lot
open to that.
yeah, there needs to be a lot. Well, then there needs to be some collaboration.
No doubt.
So when Saban was sort of like the face of this thing at first, I think that did worry some folks that his conversation with President Trump was going to lead to an executive order that in some ways, created more disturbance in the system, conflicted with some of the terms of the House settlement, rolled some things back that the NCAA has already put in place. And I think that was a concern. So if an executive order just creates a commission as opposed to tries to create a law to fix what's going on with college sports, that in itself seems to be a win. That seems to be a good thing, because I think, again, there was general feeling after last week's, report about how Coach Saban and the president spoke, that something was going to come out of that in terms of an executive order that was disruptive as opposed to progressive.
Do you think it's just a massive positive that this administration is now interested, has antennas up, is looking into it? There should be, it feels like, at least real positives that they're open to discussions here and want to try to make some sort of a difference.
Yeah, I generally think that that's the case. I think most of the people I've talked, at least a few of the people I've talked to felt like, kind of going back to Tom McMillan's quote, like getting some presidential leadership, if nothing else, if absolutely nothing else, shows that this is a priority. And I'm kind of giving you, when the president is sort of giving a nod to Congress that, like, yeah, we can get to this. I know there's a lot of other stuff on the table here that needs to be done, but this gives you some cover to work on this without having, frankly, the American people go, hey, isn't there something more important than college sports going on? So maybe that helps. If at the very least, I think symbolically, having more people working on it, having the president sign off on this as a priority for me, certainly doesn't hurt, right? If that's where this goes, I think it's a positive to have the president of the United States say, hey, we need to get this, we need to fix something here. That can't be a terrible thing, I think.
Ralph, we appreciate you hopping on with us to discuss it. Obviously, some big news you guys broke there at the Athletic, and look forward to having you back again soon.
Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Ralph Russo of the Athletic joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. We'll get your thoughts on it. You can tweet in at Mac and Cube, 800-239-9569. What can be done? Is this a good idea? Can real fixes be made? We'll discuss it a little bit further when we come back. Before we get to break, though, Greg, you're going to be playing in a big golf tournament next week.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's one of the best days of the year. It's the Regions Drummond Company Celebrity Pro-Am. And that's Wednesday, May 14th. The lineup is stacked. Coach Saban will be here. Charles Barkley, Nate Oates, Hugh Freeze, country music star Riley Green. All those guys will be out there participating in that Pro-Am environment. It's a blast. And I know we're all looking forward to it. I'll be playing it as well. Should be a lot of fun. Then on Thursday, May 15th, golf favorites like John Daly, Ernie Els, and Stuart Sink will battle it out on the course. And there's more than just golf. Swing by the White Claw Watering Hole featuring the White Claw Wave Bar, the Maomi Wine Lounge. Both are open to the public, plus food trucks, Coca-Cola Spectator Village, and a Saturday concert with Monsters of Yacht right after play. It's all in support of Children's of Alabama. It's a week you don't want to miss. Get your tickets now at regentstradition.com.
All right, when we come back, we'll continue talking a commission on college athletics. Can it make a big difference? Also, some other big news surrounding the Southeastern Conference coming this hour. We'll discuss it all next on Mac and Cube in the morning. We're discussing a potential commission that could be put together on college athletics by President Trump and his administration. Nick Saban co-chair that with Texas Tech Board co-chair Cody Campbell, billionaire oil man. It is 7:43, Thursday, May 8th, right here on Jocks 94.5. Craig Smoke going to join us in the next hour to discuss Baylor's offseason and what that team is looking like, Auburn's first opponent, what their quarterback situation is, and a couple of transfers out of Baylor and into some SEC schools. But this commission that could be put together, do you look at it as a realistic fix, one that could realistically bring some sort of even clarity and forward progress that would be sustainable for college sports? Like, what parts of it do you really believe that they could find a way to put together and change that would protect some of what we've loved for so long?
Well, I mean, you're not going to affect the payments. I don't think you can do much about how much guys are earning, how much people are willing to pay, but I think they can do something about the transfer portal. I think ultimately, if we just clean up the transfer portal, think about how many headaches that would eliminate. I mean, think about how much easier life would be if the transfer portal didn't open for 30 some odd days between the 3 weeks it's open in December and the 10 days it's open in April.
Let me ask you this. Is it this simple, Greg? Does your brain view college athletes as having a job or not?
Yes, they have a job.
But no, I'm asking, like, is it?
Yes.
Are you either in the camp of they're employees or they're not?
I've always viewed it through the lens of their employees.
John?
Always.
I actually don't.
That feels like the easiest fix, but it's hard for me to see them as employees.
Yeah, I don't view them as employees because of everything else that comes with it. And I think you can share in revenue and not be an employee, not have that status. It's complicated. I get it. I understand it. And I can see the side of when you look at the work that's put in, the time that's put in, employee status, it's not crazy, but it does feel like that's kind of maybe the biggest sticking point. And maybe not so much, Greg, going down the line of how you view it is legally what that means.
Yeah. And I'm not capable of going through the legalese as to what that could potentially adjust and all that. But I think making them employees would be the easiest thing. Like, think about how many hours, I don't know, I can't speak for you, but from a quarterback standpoint, I think about how many hours I spent in the facility.
It's a lot, man.
I was in the facility all day. Like, I went to class 4 hours a day, maybe. And I did go to class. I know now guys have a little more flexibility with online programs, but I went to class, started around 8, and get out around 11:30 or 12, depending on the day, whether it's Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It just depended. I think Tuesday, Thursday, like an hour 15. Monday, Wednesday, Friday was about 50 or 45 minutes. So I was in class for about 4 hours. And if I wasn't in class, I was at the facility until 6, 7 o'clock at night. I mean, we practiced in the afternoon. I go to the facility right after class, get there at noon, eat lunch. You had to go pick up my lunch before I went to the facility, but eat lunch, watch tape during lunch. Yeah. Then we had meetings at 2. And you had to be taped and ready to roll by the time you started meetings. So, like,
there were certain days in spring ball that I feel like I was at the facility more than I was in the fall. On certain practice days when you had to go over there and, you got a workout in, and then maybe you had to get treatment, and then you had to look over some install stuff or different things happened, the previous practice. And then all of a sudden you're getting out of practice because it's a longer practice and it's 9 o'clock at night. You're leaving the facility. I mean, it's not just in the fall was my point. And I understand the time put in. I get it. I have always kind of viewed the things that come with it, avoid employees. Like I never viewed it. Like, did you view it as a job though when you were in school? Like, I don't think we viewed it that way. Maybe some people, I think they do more now than we did, but I mean, I viewed it as more of a privilege and something that there were a lot of other things that came with it. And the reasons I was able to do it was because there was a trade-off, getting school paid for, and obviously a lot of other things. The coaching, the strength conditioning, the nutrition, which is miles different than it was when I was in school. We got it looked like a juice box of some sort of concoction called Go and a scoop of creatine in a plastic cup. And they were like, thanks. Like, that was our nutrition program. And you could go eat at Sewell Hall, which after about 4 months, most guys spent all their meal money going other places because they were over it. You just didn't want to keep going.
Yeah. Well,
it was literally the same. It was like school lunches. It was calendar every day. Monday, same thing. Tuesday, same thing. Wednesday, same thing. So you do that for 8 or 9 months, and you're like, no, not anymore.
yeah, but like I don't know. I mean, I viewed it as a job because I couldn't do the things that other kids could do. Like I wasn't a normal college student. Like I had a job to do. I had a mission to accomplish. So yes, whether you viewed it as a job or not, it was your job. I mean, you can tell me that
fair.
it didn't feel like a job and it was a privilege and what a gift. Like, I'm so glad I got to play for Auburn. Like, you can be all those things and still view yourself as if that was your job. Like, I had a job to do, and my job on Saturdays was to play my best. And whatever required me to get to Saturday at 2:30 or at 6 or whatever time we were teeing off, for me to peak on that day for those 3.5 hours, I had to do whatever it took the other 353 days a year to peak on those 12 Saturdays. So it was a job, and it affected my diet. It affected my social life. It affected my sleeping habits. It affected my, when I got haircuts, it affected when I cut my nails. Like, I mean, all these things all factored in. So like, it was a job. It was a commitment to your school. So I think they are employees, and I would, if that simplifies things, I don't see what the problem is. I would embrace that wholeheartedly if I were the athletic department. I think the players would be hesitant to embrace that, would be the side that I'd be pushing back from.
Well, probably should based on how good they have it right now. But we'll continue that discussion on the other side. I'll tell you about your CBD store quickly. If you have arthritis, anxiety, or your pet suffers from arthritis or anxiety, they have products that can help you if you're looking to lose weight. The Trim by SunMed on the shelves now at the largest brick and mortar CBD retailer on planet Earth. Stop by one of their 3 locations. Highway 280 by Baylor Brothers, 150 by the Cage in Cleaver, Trussville just off 459, and see what they can do for you. Great customer service. Largest brick and mortar CBD retailer in the world. First company to have USDA certified organic oil supplements, skincare, gut health for you or your pets as well. If you need better focus throughout the course of the day, you need more energy in the morning, your CBD store has products. Go check them out today and tell them you heard about them right here on Mac and Cube in the Morning, your CBD store where good health hits home. More on the future of college football next on Jocks 94.5. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. 800-239-9569 if you want to get in. Do you believe the president and Congress can save college sports? Does it need to be saved? Some people say no. Some people don't think that the government needs to step in, Greg, and make any sort of a difference with where we are right now.
Well, I think there's a natural, how do I say this without like getting myself in trouble? I think there's like a natural skepticism about the government in general. I think there's a lot of people that are anti-government, anti-Big Brother. I totally understand that. You know what I mean? And if you want my personal opinion, I think the government is remarkably inefficient. Like, you think the NCAA is bad? Like, the government might be less efficient than the NCAA. But I am cautiously optimistic with this administration's willingness to put their money where their mouth is. And if they identify something that they believe is a problem, they don't care. They will do it. They will do what they think they need to do. So I do feel pretty optimistic about something getting done here for the better, and them finding some common ground and making progress. And whether or not we get the finish line here before the season starts, that's great. But I do think that the right people are in charge on this commission, and I think they can get things done. I really believe that.
All right, a couple folks are chiming in on this potential commission for college sports. You can tweet into the show at Mac and Cube. Always be a part of it there. You can text in 205-834-9450. Michael Snodgrass tweets in at Mac and Cube. Can someone explain to me, like I'm 5, how we find a solution with NIL and college athletics without collective bargaining? The House settlement to me doesn't do what many people believe it does to solve the problem. Having a current 5-year-old, I would say that there is no way we could explain it to where you would understand it. Maybe not even at 25, but 5, definitely not. He's not going to get it. The only thing that I would say to that is flip that around, and how are you going to collectively bargain 1,500 plus just college football players every year? Not to mention basketball, baseball, tennis, golf, softball, track, swimming, canoe, whatever else you have at all these other schools that are changing schools every year, that are graduating and leaving every year, and then are going to other different schools or entering college in general. What is the collective that you're going to bargain? The fact that we're going to be at a different school the next year? The fact that we're graduating next year? The fact that we're not even there this year? That's the part that I think is going to be difficult. Because you have a lot of people out there that think they run college athletes. They're the president of the Players Club. They're the president of the Players Union, even though there's not one. But there are some guys that call themselves that. They'll puff their chest out and tell you, I am the president of the Players Union or Players Committee or Players whatever. And it's actually not real. There isn't one. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. A couple other people chiming in on what they think this is, what they think this could mean for college football. We know what Shannara flooring means. Tell them, Greg.
Shannara flooring is terrific. Terrific, and they have so much inventory in stock so you can go see it, touch it, feel it before you install it in your home. You'll be really appreciative of the experience you have with a group that it really puts your home first, puts your experience first. And they are located all throughout the area. You'll be very appreciative of what Fu has built, the team he's built, and 40,000 square feet of Core-Tech flooring in stock right now. That waterproof, pet-proof flooring that brings value to your home or business. A breeze to clean and maintain. They're waterproof and ideal for kitchens, laundry rooms, bathrooms, everywhere else. They can do 12 months financing with approved credit. So call them today. If you're thinking about making some adjustments to your home and to your floors, call who? Call Fu. Call them at 205-518-6423 or go online at fuandyou.com.
All right, so when we continue discussing this and kind of where it could go, Louis DeArmond tweets into the show, at Mac and Cube. You can be a part there. You can also call in on the Higginbotham hotline, 800-239-9569. Text in 205-834-9450. The dichotomy of the co-chairs is very Trump, old school, the way it was versus billionaire player buyer. Let's meet in the middle. Both sides have valid points. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I think meet in the middle is always great. Problem is, I think you have a lot of people that want to get theirs, and meeting in the middle doesn't often satisfy the masses.
Trip Tepper tweets in, quote, pay everyone the same. Really? Coaches get paid with the current free market economy. Players can be paid in that same free market. You don't need more laws on the books. Make them employees and just use the laws currently in place. I think Saban's mindset always has been from the school's collective portion, the collective bargaining portion, that percentage should be the same across the board for players. And then they can go get any real NIL deals that they want.
Yeah.
That's the way I understand the way Coach Saban looks at it. I might be wrong.
I think Coach Saban views it as the team and the experience you have as a college football player is very, very important as far as your own personal maturity. Doesn't mean that everybody necessarily needs to be paid the same, because if you can go and create opportunities and create value for yourself outside of the football program, he's all for it. He's all supportive of that. He's talked about it a million times. Creating value is what he always says. But I also think Coach Saban puts a huge premium on the team. So the collective pays everybody the same. What you do in addition to the collective is based on performance. If you go out and win the Heisman Trophy, you're going to be compensated for it. I think that's the way Coach Saban would like for it to be handled.
Yeah, and that's the way
it's hard for me to push back on it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, this is actually something we didn't talk about, but it dropped last week. Alex Page tweets in, is Kentucky, by converting their athletic department to an LLC, putting themselves ahead of the curve as this college football commission gets their footing and starts making decisions that impact collegiate athletics? Possibly. We don't know, though. We don't know where it's going. But go back, and if you understood the infrastructure of Texas A&M's 12th Man Foundation, they almost stumbled upon accidentally ways to be able to, what we now view as a collective, have that in place, ways to generate money, ways to disperse the money that made it easier for them to get ahead of the curve with NIL and recruiting. So possibly, I don't know, Greg, do you look at a college athletic program moving to LLC status potentially being a big advantage with where we're headed?
I just don't know enough about the structure. I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I mean, I don't know what that means. Like, I have an LLC. I know you do too. I have a couple of them, actually. But I don't really know what that means for college football programs. Like, does it make, I mean, the liability purposes is why I do the LLC. Like, so, is that why they're doing it? I don't know.
Trip Tepper also tweets in again in response to another listener. You don't need to collectively bargain. Look at the university hospital model. The University of Tennessee hospital employees don't collectively bargain alongside the Duke University hospital employees in a union. They get paid based on the free market salaries offered. They also don't share revenue that's generated by multiple sports. It's so complicated. It's not that I think Tripp is wrong there. I just think that there's so many different limbs off of this tree that can entangle things and make it a difficult discussion of exactly. That's why we are where we are right now, is because it's unorthodox and uneven.
Yeah.
I hate to use the word unfair, but let's be real. Is it fair that certain sports are propped up by the other sports that generate the actual money and revenue?
No.
So most of us would agree that Title IX has been a good thing. It has opened up the door for a lot of different athletes. It has given a lot of different athletes opportunities. It has allowed a lot of different athletes to be able to go perform and have those opportunities to move into higher education and better themselves and maybe even go pro in something other than sports. But if you did collectively bargain and you continue going down this employment status route, that's going to go away. It's going to be gone. If your sport doesn't earn, you don't get. And there are a lot of people that would say that's the way it should be. But then there's a lot of portions of college athletics that aren't real life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not showing up to a 9 to 5 every day. I mean, we're going to start. I mean, do we go down the path of benefits, insurance, 401k? They're employees. That's what you want them to be.
Yes.
They don't get any of that now.
No. But I also wonder at the same time, though, like, at what point, we are adults. We view things through the lens of value. We view things through the lens of commerce. Like, at what point are we going to acknowledge that while it's nice to get that money up front, there is long-term value that is being missed out on by this generation of athletes? There's long-term value that is being sacrificed. And you know what? I understand that that's part of doing business, because as adults, we all want it right now. Like, we want money so we can buy and provide for our family. But I do think that there is long-term access to wealth that will be thrown by the wayside because of the amount of money that's being received up front. And I don't know what the long-term effect of that is. We don't have enough of a sample size, but I would imagine it'll be significant because the fans don't feel the same connection to the players that they once did. So in the event in which one of these players is in financial strain and needs a job in 10 years, I think they're going to be less likely to be hired. That's my personal opinion, because I've talked to plenty of people that contributed to the NIL. They said their NIL is front loaded. Meanwhile, our generation, our NIL lasts the rest of our life. So I don't know. I just think that I think it's going to be a fascinating thing to figure out.
There are a lot of people in this day and age, Greg, that they want it now. They want theirs and they want it now.
And I'm not mad at them for it at all. Doesn't mean at the same time I'm not the tiniest bit concerned about the long-term ramifications of what's being forced upon the boosters at this point.
Steven Isbell tweets saying, coaches aren't being paid with the free market when ADs are losing money. Most are extremely overpaid. Seeking money from outside the walls, NIL handouts, isn't free market either. The Lakers don't ask fans. Sorry, it just moved. The Lakers don't ask fans for money. No other league does this.
The Lakers don't ask fans for money. They giving away tickets for free?
Private seat licensing?
Are they UNICEF? Like, what are we talking about? They don't ask fans for money.
Parking.
Are they giving away
concessions.
jerseys? I mean, like, what are you talking about?
But I do agree with him from the standpoint of they don't just directly go to them and say, give me more money to help pay players, which is essentially what we're doing. Because are we going to say, hold on, we're going to say all these boosters aren't paying all those other things too? Like, they're not paying for their suites. They're not paying for their tickets. They're not paying a certain amount for scholarship funds to get tickets early and have early access. I mean, they are.
They are, but also the professional organizations, the for-profit organizations, by the way, several lose money, by the way. Professional sports teams, several lose money. MLB in particular. NBA gets crushed in some ways financially. Now they make up for it in other areas, but there are professional sports franchises that aren't in the green. So I will be curious to see how this all works out, because I am pretty optimistic about some of the momentum we have, but at the same time, I think everybody views it through a different lens. Like, as a player, I don't know, man. I think I'd rather just get it done and focus on football, because the real money's going to be had in the NFL. I want to be the best version of myself, and me bounce from place to place.
And that's where people would say, well, if you're not playing one place, Greg, you got to go to another place.
I don't disagree, but that usually hinders your development. Any time that's spent trying to learn an offense, learn a defense, making it muscle memory, is it helpful to have a great, vast knowledge of different offenses as you go to the NFL? Sure. But the NFL offenses are like calculus and college offenses are like algebra. So maybe it helps you a bit, but we'll see. I'm really hopeful. I'm really, really hopeful, but we'll see.
Royal Payne tweets in, how does the independent contractor model of WWE and AEW apply or not apply? Not employees, no union, but by contract cannot appear for the other promotion for X number of years, but can do ads, acting, etc., subject to portal, of course. I don't know the exact guidelines with how WWE or AEW's independent contracts are written right now. And I also think that because of the university involvement and then some state involvement with some universities, again, I'm nowhere near intelligent enough to answer this. I'm just trying, would make it very complicated. But there are independent contractors that work with schools.
Yes.
We don't think people come in and do consulting for universities all the time. Hell, there's defensive coordinators that go sit in for a week and get 10 grand that aren't working. They're not school employees. They get paid to go sit down there and do it for a week and tell people how to get their DBs in line. Happens all the time. I mean, you think all these guys that were lining up to go speak for Coach Saban to the team are doing it for free? They're not working for Alabama.
No.
So I don't know if it's going to be over a lengthy period of time, say 2 years, 3 years, whatever, even 1 year, 2 seasons, how that would operate.
Certainly don't. But I don't know if we'll ever know. And honestly, regardless, whatever Cole's ideal solution is for where college football goes from here, whatever my solution is for where college football goes from here, there are unintended consequences that we don't even foresee. And I feel like we both care greatly about the sport. We both love the sport. We love the tradition. I love that the players are getting paid now. I think that's great. I don't love that the players don't have the same relationship with their university that you and I have in most cases. That's disappointing to me because there's nothing more valuable than that long term. But I understand that that's a necessary evil at the moment. So fingers crossed things get figured out, but there's going to be something that comes up from whatever decision they arrive at that is going to be disastrous. And just like the transfer portal is intended to be good, it became in some ways disastrous. Just like the 4 games with the red shirt, it was intended for good. There are aspects of it that are disastrous. So there's going to be some loophole that we don't foresee that is unfortunate.
When we talk about it, what's the underbelly? What is the underbelly of this discussion? What is the underbelly of this process? What is the underbelly of where this is going? Because there will be one. And somebody's going to find it and somebody's going to take advantage of it. Who in their right mind thought that we would have kids quitting after 4 games played in, walking into coach's office saying, I volunteer to practice for you. Do not put me in a game anymore. Think about where we are. That's essentially you going into your boss's office today and saying, I will show up for work. Don't pay me. Don't hit that direct deposit, sir, but I'll be at work. But I don't need the check. Like it's not a real concept that anyone would ever fathom, but it happened and it's happening. Like when we said NIL should come, like who thought that we would have these massive LLCs set up to just collect money from people to say, here you go. Take it.
Yeah.
Are you worth it? Don't know. We'll pay it. It's wild where we've gotten with some of the underbelly and the loopholes and the workarounds and the back doors and all these different things that we thought were going to be great. We thought they were going to be great. Oh, let's give guys a COVID year. We didn't know guys were going to be playing their 9th year.
8th.
Both. 7th also. A lot of them, by the way. We didn't know kids were going to be on their 5th and 6th schools transferring when we said, yeah, you know what? It'd probably be fair if we let them leave whenever they want.
Yeah.
It's wild where we've gotten, and we don't know where we're going next. But what we do know is that Craig Smoke is going to give us an update on where Baylor is right now. Auburn's first opponent this upcoming season. A little bit of a quarterback battle taking place. Has that been solidified? What they've done in the portal, what they've lost in the portal, how it's all going to look for the Auburn Tigers week 1. We don't know how this weather's going to look, though. It can be cool in the morning, hot in the afternoon. We saw storms come in last night. You can see storms come in at any point. Spring weather in Alabama is unpredictable. That's why you need the reliability of a Train. Voted America's most trusted HVAC brand. Right now, you can receive up to a 10-year warranty on parts and labor on select Train home comfort systems. Find out more at Train.com. It's hard to stop a train. When we come back, we will get an update on the Baylor Bears and what they will look like week 1 against Auburn next on Mac and Cube in the morning. Jolly tweeting into the show, just have to ride the wave while Latin college football irritates me. I know this. SEC Medias is about 2 months away from now. I think it's Media Days. SEC Medias. I like that. We can just shorten it. When are we going to SEC Medias? That makes me smile. The season's right around the corner. I'm going to choose to be optimistic and positive about the future of college football. I appreciate y'all. Hey, the good news is there's going to be games.
Can confirm.
No matter who's playing, what they're doing, what team they're on, what team they used to be on, how many games they're going to play before they quit the team, there's going to be games.
And the second toe meets leather, it's still the best sport in the world.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think Craig Smoke would also agree. He covers the Baylor Bears, joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline. Craig, just give our listeners, Auburn's week 1 opponent, kind of a off-season 1,000-foot view of what is happening with this Baylor program before we dive further in.
Sure, guys. I appreciate you having me on. Appreciate Cole's time on our show yesterday, and he's always a fantastic guest, so I hope I can be a tenth of what he is entertainment-wise for your audience. But as to your question, Baylor coming off of 8-5 last year, this time a year ago, a lot of the talk was surrounding Dave Aranda and his status and long-term future as head coach, and I think they started off probably about as worse as you could have hoped for given all of the heat surrounding his seat at the beginning of last year, but managed to reel off 6 wins down the stretch, had a very entertaining, when all was said and done, Texas Bowl loss to a depleted LSU roster, but still an LSU team that would have been a big-time team to beat at the end of the year. So it left a little bit of a sour taste in fans' mouths because it wasn't 7 wins to end the year in this fantastic 9-win season. Instead, it was 8-5 and kind of a damper at the end, but still a better feeling than you thought that it was going to be given how the season had started. So they were able to save a little face, able to get a little bit of positivity, and able to rebound in a way last year. And that leads you into this year where it all starts with your big-time quarterback and Sawyer Robertson coming back, a lot of other players on that offense coming back, and a couple of questions on the defensive side, but nothing that's too big that you have major concerns that they won't be able to at least follow up and be close to what they were last year. So, guys, having said all that, I know teams don't carry over for one season to the next, but with a lot of players returning and a lot of optimism after last year's turnaround, they're a team that feels like they should go somewhere around 8-4 again and be in the thick of the competition for the Big 12 with the final month of the season looming. I think that's a place where they feel like they should be in the heat of battle for a Big 12 spot in Arlington and maybe a college football playoff spot. So expectations are pretty high for Dave Aranda entering year 6 now here in Waco.
Well, the expectation, I think, should be high. I think a lot of people feel really good about what could be had with the continuity that was created down the stretch. I want to talk a little bit about Sawyer Robertson. I think he's terrific. Really a fan. I think he played great. And that was without having the off season last year as a full-time starter and getting all those 1 reps and developing that rapport. So what do you think is possible for Sawyer Robertson here heading into year number 2 as a full-time starter?
I think the sky's the limit. A lot of people very excited about him. As you mentioned, this time a year ago, he had been on the roster, had been behind Blake Shapen, played a little bit with Shapen's injuries and whatnot. Shapen obviously moved on to Mississippi State eventually, and you thought that about this time, a little bit earlier than this time a year ago, prior to spring ball, that it was going to just be Sawyer's team most likely. They decide that they need some competition. They go into the portal. They grab DeQuan Finn. And I think because of the price tag that was rumored and all of Finn's experience, you understood them going against some competition for Sawyer, but it also kind of led you to believe that, well, maybe, he's going to have to be a backup again for another year, and then, eventually it'll be his time. Well, Finn comes out of the gates, kind of grumblings that it wasn't as clear cut that he was just coming in to be the starter as people maybe thought. Sawyer takes him all the way to the limit, and then Finn gets the starting nod and plays the first game or so before getting dinged up. Sawyer takes over, and he never looked back. He was the starter from then on out. Basically, DeQuan Finn, ends up playing another year this year because once his job got taken, there was talk about injuries, but it was more so that Sawyer was playing so well that I think DeQuan Finn said, I'm going to try and save my eligibility. And so that's basically what happened was Sawyer just took over, never looked back. He was great. He was the reason they won 8 games last year and had a chance to win some more. He's got a good arm, very smart player, a lot more athletic than people maybe realized just looking at him initially. He can run and damage you that way. He's not a crazy dual threat, but he does have the ability to hurt you with his legs, makes good decisions, protects the football, and just, for lack of a better term, he's a gamer, man. This team loves him. And when he wasn't named the starter at the beginning of last year, again, I talk about those grumblings. There was just kind of a lot of grumblings within the team, like something just didn't feel right. And I think ultimately what it was they wanted Sawyer to be the guy. They didn't kind of like that DeQuan Finn had been brought in. And so you saw this team really take a turn when they got fully invested in Sawyer Robertson and they just sort of followed his lead. And I think it spoke volumes, just seeing him out there, his talent on the field, but as much as anything, the off the field and how much this team loved him, followed him into war, and wanted to win for him. And so with him being the clear-cut guy this year, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. There's a lot of people excited about him. Talk about, NFL future and all that. Sawyer Robertson, I think, Big 12 Player of the Year, and all the things that come with that are definitely in the cards for him this season as far as expectations go.
Visiting with Craig Smoke, covers the Baylor Bears on the Higginbotham Hotline now. One other part that intrigues this game even further is a couple former Auburn guys on this football team, Kobe Prentice at wide receiver, Walker White at quarterback. Is he definitively looking like the number 2 QB right now? How has his time gone in Waco?
Yeah, it's definitely Sawyer's team. I just talked about the DeQuan Finn thing. There's no doubts that people were very excited to see Walker White get picked up by Dave Aranda and company because they did need some quarterback depth. But yeah, it's not under the thought process of it being any sort of a competition, really. I think it's clear cut that this is Sawyer's team. But Walker White, when I was at a spring practice, I first, start to look at the quarterbacks, and I was like, who is that? And I see the jersey numbers, like, oh, yeah, that's Walker White they brought in. I mean, he looks the part, looks like a great athlete, and based on the early returns, people very excited about what he can do next year when called upon, but also following that as well. So very much a pickup for now, but also looking down the line when Sawyer's gone. Heard nothing but great things about Walker White, and I think that was a really solid pickup for them. But, yeah, this is Sawyer's team. They're going to live and die by him, but I do think they are very excited about what Walker White will be able to do for them during his time in Waco. And then Kobe Prentice, they needed to address wide receiver. They got fortunate to get one of their veterans in Ashton Hawkins an extra year of eligibility. They've got their star, return man / receiver there, and Josh Cameron coming back as well. But they needed more. And Kobe Prentice, a guy they were able to go and grab, and I've heard some good things overall about just their expectations. So, yeah, both those guys, familiar to y'all, seem like they will be in line to, in Prentice's case, make an impact sooner rather than later. And Walker White, you hope you don't have to use him too much next year, of course, but they're very excited about when they do need to call upon him that he's going to be there to answer the call.
Well, looking at Dave Aranda and his background on defense, I know he was heavily involved last year with what they were doing defensively. I believe he was actually even going as far as to call the down in, down out plays. Is that going to continue this year, or is he going to be maybe pulling back just a hair, delegating some, and maybe being more managerial?
Yeah, it's a great question. That was one of the huge topics of last offseason, him really having to do that out of necessity, guys. I think that he felt the heat, and being a defensive guy, he wasn't going to allow defense to be the thing that cost him his job, obviously. So he got his hands as deep into the mixing bowl as possible. I don't think it's something that he wanted to do just because of how much is already on a head coach's plate, but it was something that he had to do. And so, yeah, he called plays last year. For all intents and purposes, he was the defensive coordinator, and it was, for the most part, successful. And I think, yeah, he's going back to that well again from all indications, and he will be continuing to call plays. I don't think it's something that he wants to do again. But after it kind of working last year, and I think the fact that there's still, while not a hot seat per se, but there's still a pressure that's underlying there, I just don't think he feels like he can really hand the keys over at this point. So maybe eventually he gets to that stage if they were to win 8 games this year again, and there's really like nothing surrounding him, then maybe he eventually feels comfortable enough to hand the keys over again to somebody else. But yeah, he's going to continue to call plays on defense, and that's just the way it's worked itself out. So they have, I think, a pretty good returning amount of starters and contributors. There's a couple of questions on this team, and it's on the defensive side of the football. And so that was kind of where the focus was at the end of their spring practices a couple of weeks ago, was shoring up a couple things defensively. But, yeah, it's going to be the Dave Aranda show once again on that side of the ball.
What's your 1,000-foot view of this team right now when it comes to this matchup against Auburn week 1?
Well, I just think it's a huge game. I think no matter where Auburn is in terms of how good they are and where they are sort of in the public eye, I know for Baylor it's a shot at a name brand. It's a shot at an SEC team. It's a rare occasion where this team may never come back to Waco to play you ever again, and it's just a rare home and home that they were able to set up to begin with. So I just think the word opportunity is what flashes as much as anything. And right there out of the gates, as y'all mentioned, I mean, you can make that big splash in week 1 right there at home and get a little bit of that SEC bragging right, kind of a win. And that means something to a program like this and to most programs. So, I don't know where you guys view Auburn right now in the big picture, but I think, Dave Aranda and Baylor are looking at this as capital O opportunity. They're expecting that Auburn's going to roll in with an uber-talented team and some good coaching and just, that SEC pedigree, if you will. So even if they had won 2 games last year or 12 games last year, the name Auburn means something, and the opportunity itself is one of those that they want to make sure and take full advantage of. So people are very excited. And I don't know if you checked out their full non-com, but, man, they got to have one of the toughest, I think, first months in the entire country. And Auburn will bat leadoff on that. So that'll be a real tone setter. I think you look at last year and the first half of the season, the way it kind of got away from them, they were able to salvage that in the second half. But you look at this schedule this year, and there's another chance where the start could be kind of rocky. And then again, you get that win against Auburn potentially. And, man, it could really set a huge tone. So, yeah, this is a big-time team coming to town that people are very thrilled to see coming to town. And, man, I think there'll be a great crowd and a great turnout for that one.
It's so strange, though, with Baylor, I feel like, at least in the more modern era, the years when they're not really expected to do much, they're outstanding. They go on and play in the Sugar Bowl, and then they come back the following year, and everyone picks them as a dark horse playoff contender, and they win 4 games. Or however many it was, and they lose, I think, the final 4 games of the regular season to kind of limp into the following year. So how will this team handle expectations? I mean, are they heavy, or do you think Dave Aranda has now kind of figured out the right buttons to press after having been there for a while now and making sure his team isn't weighed down by what people think they can achieve?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think he is as solid now in kind of how everything works as he has been at any other point in his tenure, which you would expect, right, when you're in your 6th year as compared to your 3rd or 4th year. But they have had expectations prior and not lived up to them, as you said, and then exceeded expectations at other times. And I think the feeling you get with this team is that you expect them to be really good. I think people also have come to better understand it's also the Big 12, where last year people had Utah winning the conference and they finished near dead last.
Right.
And then you had Oklahoma State returning everybody, and you thought maybe they'll win the conference. And they actually did finish dead last, 0-9 in the Big 12. So I think there's always that hesitancy of getting too confident, because you know that you can roll into that non-conference schedule and you're playing Auburn and SMU, and that's going to be a tough start. And then, in Big 12 play, literally anything can happen because nobody really knows, because everybody's on such equal footing. So I don't think people are counting their chickens before they hatch, but I think there's so much returning, starting with Sawyer Robertson and just the kind of nice, comfortable pocket Dave Aranda sort of found himself in now, where there's a little bit less heat. I think they can go out and just play ball. And yes, there are expectations. There are expectations that you should be in the mix for the Big 12 championship in some form or fashion down the stretch, but it's also not playoff or bust and you lose your job. So I think there's the typical pressure that comes with the job, but it's not something that I think is going to weigh too heavily on them like maybe it did at the beginning of last year or the year prior. So if they're not competing for the Big 12 championship, there will be grumblings once again and people wondering why, and probably some pocket of people calling for a change. But I think so long as they're competitive, they're in the mix, they make a bowl game, and finish at least somewhere around where they did last year, then that'll be a good enough season. So nothing too crazy, right? Just be competitive, and with this maybe future NFL quarterback, be in the race for the Big 12 title. And I think 6 years in, that should be a bare minimum for Dave Aranda as well. So nothing too crazy, but they do expect some wins around here.
We'll see if it happens and see how it goes down. Craig, we appreciate the time today. Great stuff, man. Good catching up. We'll probably have you again before this game because we'll need to discuss it more. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, for having me. Anytime you need me, I'll be on with you. And, have a great week.
There you go. Craig Smoke covers the Baylor Bears, joining us on the Buyers Right Hotline. You can find him at Craig Smoke, SMOAK, on Twitter, and find him at 365 Sports to get all the information leading up to that matchup against Auburn. I want to follow up on it a little bit more when we come back, Greg. Spend some more time on Auburn's first opponent this upcoming season. Before we move to that, tell our listeners about Crocker Moving Services.
Well, they're a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring movers you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys. You can trust them in your home. Whether they need your whole home packed up and moved, your company headquarters moved across country, or you just want them to come rearrange your living room, these guys got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you've purchased and need to get to your home. So call or visit them online today for a free quote. The website is crockermovingservices.com. That's crockermovingservices.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Moving Services for your next move.
All right, when we come back, a little bit more on Auburn v. Baylor week 1. Next, Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 8:40, Thursday, May 8th, right here on Jocks 94.5. We've talked a lot about Congress, president, politics, getting involved in college sports moving forward. What would that look like? What would that be? Is it good? Is it bad? A lot of different ways to maybe look at that. A lot of different ways to go with it. We were just talking about Baylor as well and what they're going to look like for Auburn week 1. Before we get to that, you need to know that for over 50 years, my friends at Royal Automotive have been helping our friends and neighbors experience how car buying should be. With 4 Royal-owned dealerships in one location, the selection and savings are unmatched. Royal Buick GMC, Royal Volkswagen, Royal Auto Mart, Volvo Cars of Vestavia Hills, all at the corner of I-65 and Highway 31 of Vestavia. From sales to service, the team at Royal can help you find that new ride and keep you rolling. When it's time to start scheduling your next vehicle, Royal's the only place to find over 20 unique truck and SUV options in one spot. All 4 stores in one location means you get behind the wheel for a test drive without going all over town. My favorite part is that new car smell. When they say for every ride, there's Royal, they mean it. If you're shopping for that very first ride or the last ride you've always wanted, for every ride, there's Royal. Royal Buick GMC, Royal Volkswagen, Royal Auto Mart, Volvo Cars of Vestavia Hills, all at the corner of I-65 and Highway 31 of Vestavia, online at royalautomotive.net. How do you sort of view this matchup right now between these two teams? We talked to Craig Smoke a little bit about Baylor and what they could be, what they may look like. We have a pretty good idea what Auburn should look like. Now, there's some and, ifs, buts, maybes there. But just on the surface, this matchup, Greg, what looks most important to you as far as one of these two teams finding a way to win it?
I mean, I think it's going to come down to a few different things. One, how improved is Auburn going to be offensively? I think there's a lot of reason to believe that they're going to be better, more consistent. I think if you look at last year, they were great. I mean, every metric would support them being a highly efficient offense other than the turnover metric and the red zone. So I think that looking at all that stuff, if they can be a little more situationally aware, they'll be a tough out for everyone they play. Baylor, I think, is a team with a real high ceiling. I don't know if their personnel will be quite what Auburn will see throughout the rest of the season, but they have good pieces in good places. Like their running back, Bryson Washington, is the real deal. Like he's excellent. Their quarterback, Sawyer Robertson, really good. If you actually look at Auburn's schedule, there might not be more than a couple quarterbacks that are better than the guy they'll face in the first game of the season. Like, look at the schedule. Who do you think's better than what they'll see in Sawyer Robertson?
If you go down that schedule, maybe John Mateer at Oklahoma.
Yeah, agree.
You could say you have wild cards with Georgia and Bama. We don't necessarily know just yet, but the only definitive one that I would give you would be John Mateer.
I think that's the only one as of this moment.
Yeah, Gunnar Stockton might be awesome.
He might be.
Ty Simpson could be great. We don't know.
Those are question marks, and we might see Talon Green at Arkansas take a huge step.
Considering the opponent, I'll give you Diego Pavia because he is better against Auburn than a lot of other teams. So I think he actually qualifies ahead of Sawyer Robertson there. But yeah,
I would rather have Sawyer Robertson, but I get what you're saying.
Not in that matchup.
I get what you're saying. I just think that Sawyer Robertson has a really high ceiling, married up with that run game. Spav, first game of the year, he's going to have 3 or 4 new wrinkles that Auburn's never seen before. That's their offensive coordinator, Jake Spavital. So I think it's a tough game. I think it's a brutal opener. I really believe that because here's the thing. From an Auburn fan's perspective, I don't think very many Auburn fans realize that Baylor's good.
Probably not.
I don't think a lot of people realize that. I think they look at that as like, oh, this would be a good first game win on the road, get the season started. All of a sudden it's a dogfight in the fourth quarter and Auburn fans are booing. You know what I mean? But it's like, this is a good team. So I hope that we have enough listeners on this show, and I believe that we do, to inform everybody that will be one heck of a win if Auburn gets it.
Yeah, games like this, Greg, I look at it and say, who has because listen, first week 1, it always looks weird and there's always going to be mistakes and there's going to be some sloppy play for just about everybody in the nation. Who can take the safest path to victory here?
Yeah.
And so essentially who can lean on their defense more? Who's probably most reliable special teams? You know, who has playmakers that can take a slant or a screen or a toss and turn that into big yardage? Who can hand the ball off the most? And I don't really see a massive advantage either way for either one of these two teams here. if the Auburn offensive line is kind of what we think it is, and the receivers can command the attention that we believe that they will. Now, you're probably going to have to go show it. I mean, Dave Aranda's going to make you show that you can throw the ball. This is not going to be one, I think, where Dave Aranda says, oh, yeah, we'll just give you the run game. He knows good and well the mistakes have been made with that quarterback, and that if you can take that part of that game away, you can go a long way in stopping this offense. So I think he'll make you prove that you can throw it first. And I'm not saying he's going to give up, a bunch of deep throws.
Freebies.
Yeah. But as far as the intermediate stuff, and you want to try to, go over the middle a little bit, hit some crossers, take a couple out routes, a hits here and there. Like he's going to make you prove you can hit those. And then maybe he'll be more aggressive and try to move some things around. But I think Auburn's got to come out and prove that Jackson Arnold can be consistent and be accurate and hit those throws before they're going to be able to have a more higher % chance of winning this football game.
I just think Dave Aranda is extremely thoughtful, and having a quarterback that might be in the process of rebuilding his confidence, having a quarterback that has been prone to holding the ball, having a quarterback that has at times maybe forced it. I don't love that situation right there for Jackson Arnold. Like Dave Aranda's defense and their structure is already difficult enough to play.
He can show you a lot of things.
Let alone week 1, split second decisions in the RPO game. I think it's a really tough defense to start the season against. Like we had to play in my first career start was against Bud Foster. And it was structurally the most difficult defense I faced all year. I mean, structurally very, very difficult. Now, personnel wise, yeah, LSU was more talented. Other teams we faced in the year in Florida, far more talented. But structurally, it was very, very complex. And it made it difficult on a guy that hadn't seen a lot as a first-year starter in college football. So it is something to be concerned about, for sure. And I think Baylor could definitely get their hands on a couple cheap ones.
Absolutely.
But they got to run the ball. I mean, I think that's where Auburn might have an advantage is obviously in the trenches. And Baylor usually, I don't know their defensive line personnel off the top of my head. I could probably do a slightly deeper dive and look at some of their transfers. But I would imagine that they're going to have a big, stout, run-stopping defensive tackle. Abu Ika or whatever the guy's name was. Yeah. Siani Ika or whatever a couple years ago.
Their nose right now, Cooper Lands, is listed first teamer as 6'3", 288.
Well, he's a move guy. What do they have?
Devontae Tizzino, 294 at one end, and Jackie Marshall at the other end at 290.
Those are pretty big ends, but not the stoutest group.
Yeah, a couple transfer linebackers they're going to bring in. They are bringing in from Texas A&M. Get ready for this one. Samu Tuamanupepe, 6'3", 380.
There you go. There's your guy. Just, I mean, I didn't even look at Baylor's depth chart.
So he's 415?
Probably.
If you're listed at 380, you're 4.
Probably.
Let's just be honest. Unless you're playing at 350 and they want you heavier for whatever reason. If you're listed at 380, you're 400 pounds.
But
now you could have a really good week of workouts and laying off some of the food and be 380. But let me put it this way. On Monday, you're 400. Every Monday.
Every single one. But let's keep in mind here. You really think about that guy, if he is 400, you're not moving that guy. And if you have to run the ball to be successful, and I would imagine Baylor will sell out against the run. I'm going to make Jackson Arnold beat me. He's going to have to make good decisions. He's going to have to be accurate because we're going to have tight coverage. And if Cam Coleman wins a jump ball or two, that's fine. But we're going to be super physical on the outside. We're going to flirt with the pass interference penalty every single time. And we're going to see how much they like it. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's to be honest with you, I think it's a big Eric Singleton game. Just knowing his skill set. I think you get a lot of jet sweeps going, especially if you get those 400-pounder in there.
Well, quick game sideline to sideline. Quick game if they're selling out against the runs, massive.
Catch and runs, screens, stuff like that could be really beneficial. But this will be an extremely sound defense. This will be a defense that does not make a lot of mistakes and will make you earn it. And I always respect Dave Aranda for that.
Yeah. Well, if you've made some mistakes planning your retirement, I'd like to introduce you to our friend and wealth advisor, Tad Hill, your trusted retirement planning partner. Tad's a co-host of Retire with Freedom radio and TV shows in Birmingham and Huntsville, also designated by Forbes as the #1 financial securities professional in the state of Alabama, multiple years running. Tad, what do you have for us today?
Thanks, Cole. Today I want to talk about something that's usually on everyone's mind, and that is taxes. How do we reduce our tax burden as much as we possibly can? And one of the things that many of you probably don't know is that taxes are actually on sale right now. When the current laws sunset, taxes are going to go up. So if you've got a lot of tax deferred money, 401ks, 403bs, IRAs, when that money comes out, it's going to get taxed at your highest marginal tax rate. If you've never had anyone analyze if you can get that money into tax-free accounts like Roth IRAs, we cover how to do that in detail in our retirement course that we teach at our office on Valleydale Road. If you'd like to sign up for the next course, text JOX, J-O-X, to 205-988-0006, 988-0006.
This is a paid placement. Investment advisory services are made available through AE Wealth Management. For more information about Forbes rankings, visit Forbes.com.
$8:53 Thursday, May 8th, Jocks 94.5. Still a lot to get to here on the show. You can watch us live on YouTube each and every morning. Search Jocks 94.5. Listen live online at jocksfm.com.
Bill Smith Buick GMC is the GMC Dealer of the Year, the national champ. 5 times they've won the national championship of GMC dealerships. They've won it 8 times overall, but 5 in a row. That's a dynasty, ladies and gentlemen. You can go and grab a GMC Sierra 1500 SLT. This is loaded with leather, 4x4. $66,340 is the list price. You can take $14,000 off that list price and get it for $52,340. Those deals like that keep people coming back. You just won't find them anywhere else. That's why it's worth taking the short drive up to Coleman to take advantage of those savings. Go and take the drive, take a look at the lot, take a look at the inventory. They're going to find a great deal for you. And if you want to go the used car route, they have the used car super center right there next to it to get a car for you, regardless of what your budget is. They have a solution. Andy Cole and Jonathan Yeager pride themselves on providing the best possible experience for their customers. That's why I'm a repeat customer. That's why I will continue to shop at Bill Smith Buick GMC. So take the short drive up to Coleman. You can Also, shop online. Have it delivered right to your driveway at billsmithbuickgpc.com.
So, talking about Auburn, Baylor, week one, what's the most important facet for you when it comes to the Auburn offense week one to be maybe ahead of the curve on? Is it O-line continuity? Is it Jackson Arnold decision-making? Is it receiver playmaking? I mean, it's easy to say all. You need a little bit of all of it. I get it. I understand. But is there one thing that sticks out to what the offense in our minds of where they probably are need to be a little bit ahead of that to be able to find this win?
I would say having their receivers be prepared to win one-on-ones. Now, I think that's the key because there's going to be one-on-ones.
And you got some guys that can do that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
Singleton can absolutely do it. You mentioned Cam Coleman jump balls. He can have the consistency we need to see more of, but it can be there.
So I would say that's probably the most important part of preparing the team to play in this week one game. Doesn't mean that they have to be a completely well-oiled machine week one. I think Baylor, you're not playing Ohio State. I mean, Texas, for example, they better be a well-oiled machine. You know what I mean? And vice versa. Ohio State better be a well-oiled machine. Notre Dame better be a well-oiled machine playing against Miami and vice versa. Like there are some teams that are going to have to be at their best week one. I don't think Auburn has to be at their best, but their quarterback's decision-making in play, not pre-snap, not post-snap, or not pre-snap, but post-snap, decision-making in play and their ability to win on ones on the outside could soften up the coverage, which would allow the run game to get going. So I think that's the key.
John, vice versa or vice versa?
It's vice.
Vis-a-vis.
I have found myself saying both, but it's usually vice versa.
Reese's Pieces, not Reese's. Reese's.
We have Pop-Tart ice cream sandwiches now?
Yeah.
Let's ride.
Where are those? And where do we get them?
What sideline will Cole be eating that on?
All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. He joins us every Thursday. Thanks to our friends at Coke and Piggly Wiggly. It's the coach, Wim Sanderson. Coach, glad to have you in. Appreciate you being with us. Wanted to just first and foremost pass along our thoughts and prayers with you and your family with the loss of your lovely wife, Annette. And just been thinking about you, Coach, and we really do hate it for you.
Well, I appreciate it for both of you, to both of you guys. Very difficult day. She loved our players and our teams, and had so many players and managers show up for the event, if you want to call it the service. And I appreciate it so much. My three sons spoke. Each one of them spoke for just a minute only. They're an hour and a half, an hour and 5 minutes, and then we went to Florence, where I'm from, and put her in the ground. And it's been a very, very tough time. I know people don't want to get on here and hear all about all of this, but I do need to say it, because it's she was a wonderful, wonderful coach's wife and mother, and 67 years. Regardless, she has a lot of fusses, and they have a lot of great time. So that's a long time.
Yeah, it is, Coach, and sincere condolences for sure to you and your family. But her involvement, and just the coach's wife's involvement. How important is the coach's wife in putting together your organization and just in a pivotal role that I don't think people pay really close enough attention to?
Well, Greg, it starts with their visit. It doesn't start after they get there. It's part of their visit. Their visit. I always tried to have Annette see them. I even had Coach Bryant's wife see them. The visit is darn important for them to get a little bit of a feel. They're smart enough to know they're going to be sitting with the coach's wife all the time. They're going to be hard to see him bark at them, but it's a good question. I think a right answer. It starts with the visit and trying to make him feel comfortable. And Melvin Cheatham spoke he played for me, and he did a terrific job and it baked him a birthday cake on his birthday when we had the kids over. He'd never had a birthday cake before, so it's stuff like that was really important. And I want to thank all of our listeners for the texts and the phone calls and presence of being there. I've been by her side now for the last 8 months, just about spoon feeding her. She ended up, what cost her was she couldn't walk anymore, because she ended up with her right side that was paralyzed, and then it was struggle like a dickens trying to eat, and so it had to be soupy. So that's enough. I don't want to continue to make everybody have to hang up the phone. We'll get back to what you guys have been talking about. Then I've got one other thing to say about golf at the end of the show. If you had a choice, both of you, would you rather, if they had to fix one of them, would you rather them fix the transfer portal, or would you rather fix the exact amount that each player gets out of the NIL? Which is you couldn't fix but one. I think I've had a lot of listeners ask me to ask this. Both of you are smart guys and play different sides of the ball, and I think it's a pretty interesting question. Which one of those two?
It's portal for me, Coach. I think the portal, the desire for guys to go in it, the attractiveness to get into it, the people that are trying to lure them to it, all of those things are constant distractions. And sometimes they don't have a choice to go into it. And I don't think people realize that. There are family members, agents that are essentially forcing kids to go. Now, they're still grown-ups and they make their own decisions. I get it. But I just think that is the root of so much evil in college sports right now, not having guardrails or parameters to that. It wouldn't solve maybe any problems, but it would mitigate a lot of problems, in my opinion.
Yeah, Greg.
To me, it's the portal. I think that's the one that actually can be cleaned up. I'm not sure you can ever put limitations on what people are capable of earning. But I do think the portal we can absolutely do things because it's within the confines of the rules to make adjustments to the calendar. We adjust the calendar, it calms things down significantly, and it in turn creates less leverage. And leverage is what leads to these guys making exorbitant amounts of money and creating an unlevel playing field. So I think calming down the portal and maybe giving it just one window as opposed to two, and putting that window in the summertime as opposed to December when people are emotional would be the best way moving forward.
Yeah, I think they are not as as in the summertime would be a lot better. And I just think that the giving of money is going to always be where you can't catch it. When that assistant coach comes in, and I can say that because I was assistant for 20 years, he comes in there and says, if I can get $25,000 more, I can get the kid. We got to have $25,000 more to keep the kid. That's big, but both of you hit it on the head. I think the transfer portal is the big thing. These guys being able to jump anytime they want to jump, do what they want to do is I think the big problem that we have. So we don't have the answers, I don't think, and I don't know what we're going to do about that because we have freedom of everything now, and we have we want to be sure that nobody gets cheated with it free. I think we have a president who, you like or dislike. I personally like him. Sticks his finger in stuff. Gets in there, and he sticks his hand in there and tries to do what he thinks is best, and tells why, and he's smart. And the other factor is he works. When you're a coach for a coach, or do anything like that, you've got to be loyal and work. You got to be loyal and work, and you got to have the knowledge. You got to, if you're not loyal and you don't work, you ought to be 88 and out the gate. So those things, I know y'all got other people are calling in and so forth, but to me that's big.
What's on your mind from a golf perspective, Coach?
Well, I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to because I'm going to, and I shouldn't say it. Okay. I played in the Regions Golf Tournament before you guys were born. Gene Hallman's come to me and says, I can't play. Didn't play last year. I can't play this year because of my age, which I think is ridiculous. Here's what golf is. If you're playing with 2-3 guys, you read the putt and you go on about your business. You figure out what your bet or what you're going to do before. If you're playing a scramble, you got 5-man scramble. Everybody's going to putt, and it's not going to be any time. I'm as fast as anybody. I'm not going to stand there and go for a 6. I know how to play. Now, do I play as great as Greg does? Probably not, but I know how to play, and I think knowing how to play is important. So I'm disappointed not getting to play, but that's what he wants me to. Keeps me from playing. He keeps me from playing. Shouldn't have said it, but I did because it's been bothering me. Hey, I want to tell you guys how much I enjoy your show. You're really good. You're very knowledgeable and smart. And the one thing about you guys that you didn't know was going to happen when you first came on is are they going to be controversial enough with each other, but not over not over controversial? And you've gone down that line perfect. You've been controversial, which makes it a lot better show. You need to be.
I agree. When Greg thinks that his era of movies in his childhood are better than John and I's, then yeah, we're going to get controversy. So
yeah, I understand, but you guys are great. Anyway, I know Piggly Wiggly and Coke bring me to y'all, and I appreciate Stanley was at the service yesterday, and I appreciate him and Andy, and I appreciate Coco. It was the first opportunity I had to have a sponsor when I first got the after game radio show 30-something years ago. Anyway, what I said is true. I'm not trying to brown nose you. I'm just trying to tell you that's what I think. And I appreciate you guys having me on.
We appreciate you, Coach. And again, thoughts and prayers with you and your family. Look forward to visiting with you next week.
Thank you.
That's the Coach, Wim Sanderson, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Thanks to our friends at Coke and Piggly Wiggly. I did think, since you were so confident, Greg, in saying that the movies and Greg, mid-30s, John and I, mid-40s, so you know the eras there. You were so confident that the movies of your childhood were better than the movies of John and I's childhood.
Yeah.
Would you be as confident to say that the television shows you grew up with were better than the television shows that John and I grew up with?
Is it fair for me to admit that I didn't watch a lot of television outside of sports?
I guess that answers that.
I'll take that win.
I started to, once I got to college, started to watch a few more television shows. But that was basically
like you didn't watch. I'm trying to think like what came right after us, John, that he would have been into.
Like Saved by the Bell.
Boy Meets World.
I think Saved by the Bell is more our era.
Yeah.
Boy Meets World. Like I didn't really watch that stuff.
We'll take that one.
Like I watched some. Like I watched ESPN. I watched Around the Horn.
I did too.
I watched PTI.
You watched Hannah Montana, like that era.
I didn't watch. I didn't really watch Disney Channel.
Kids wouldn't have been watching like Friends and Seinfeld, but it's like that's the time frame of it. I feel like. What were like early teens watching? Like when I would go to school, like kids watched Wonder Years.
Yeah.
All the girls watched 90210 and they wanted to talk about that. And I was like, I never knew what they were talking about because I didn't watch that.
Like we watched
Gossip Girl later in life, very different. Watched it. Didn't hear it, but watched it.
We watched the OC, but that was probably like 16, 17, that age.
Your friends were probably more into the like the dumb MTV shows. Like what was the one out in California? Yeah, all those.
No, we didn't really watch those.
OC.
No, I mean like girlfriends.
What was the reality show before The Hills?
Laguna Beach?
Yeah, Laguna Beach.
Yeah.
I didn't really watch those.
Road Rules.
We had some of the reality shows. My family
Survivor?
watched American Idol. I watched Survivor a couple years. Like not a ton, but like watched those. Like so, I was kind of in the reality show era.
Like if we watched A-Team, Knight Rider, we watched shows like that. Like when we were growing up. Like I mean, I know it's not fun to talk about now, but like we had Cosby Show.
Yeah.
Cheers, which is a little more grown up, but like I watched Cheers growing up. I thought it was hilarious.
Right.
Like, what were those kind of shows for you?
Like, you're going to laugh, but like God's Honest Truth.
I'm asking.
God's Honest Truth. I'm from big markets. We watched our pro sports teams. Like,
did you watch Dallas, the show?
No. I've never seen it. Literally never.
Didn't need to watch it.
Didn't need it.
JR did.
The house was like 10 miles from us. Went and saw it. But honestly, like I had Dodgers, I had Rangers, I had Stars, I had Mavericks, I had Lakers. I mean, like we watched
Clippers?
sports. No, not much. But like we watched sports. Like I liked the LA and the Dallas teams. So like I had a ton of teams to support. And then as like a kid in California, I'd watch Cowboys, I'd watch 49ers, I'd watch Packers. If they played on Monday night, always watch it. Like I didn't miss a Monday Night Football game my entire life.
Well, yeah, we watched that too, but we just didn't have teams in our area. And unfortunately, we got stuck with like the Dolphins. Every
but
week.
were you
the Falcons?
Exactly. Like were you
freaking Fox game was Falcons every week.
But every single night I had a game. Like every single night of my life, I had a game.
The glass chandelier.
Like you weren't watching the Atlanta Thrashers. Like I was
How
watching.
Do you know?
Because I know you, and nobody watched the Atlanta Thrashers, and nobody watched the Atlanta Hawks.
I did watch Hawks.
No, you didn't.
I did too.
That is a lie.
Kevin Willis, Dominique. I watched the Hawks sometimes. I mean, I liked the NBA growing up. Now, when I was a kid, kid, you had to watch NBC on Sunday afternoons. Those was the only ones you may have gotten like some Turner South or TBS Hawks game every now and then. So
living in like a big market, that's one thing that I'm really happy that there have been such an adoption with MLB TV. And if you wanted to do NBA League Pass, which I've never done, but like I had a game on our local channel and or our regional sports network every single night of my life. Like I probably as a kid watched over 150 baseball games a year. I'm not saying I watched every second of them because we had our own activities.
Yeah,
I mean, we were out playing.
We had WGN in the Superstation. We watched.
Yeah,
I would skip school to watch some Cubs games every now and then.
Well, that explains a lot. But I also, I mean, it just
they didn't have lights at their field, Greg. I'm sorry they didn't play at night.
We just didn't. I feel like the amount of consumption of shows now is on a whole nother level. Like if the show I wanted to watch wasn't on, I didn't watch TV. I can go. I mean, and there weren't very many shows I wanted to watch.
I guess that's the difference when we were like when John and I were kids. Is there was some real
you had appointment television.
There was
correct.
Like in living color, like you were going to make sure you watched it. Like Cosby Show, you were going to watch it.
We had TiVo. Like TiVo was new.
The stuff that we watched on reruns was like Airwolf, Knight Rider, A-Team. Like those were rerun shows that we watched.
Like, I'm not kidding when I say this. I don't recall watching. There is not, like, outside of Survivor and American Idol, I do not recall. And then my mom.
I can't. My mom and I do American Idol. Never. I'm sorry, Taylor.
My mom and I and my sister, we'd watch Family Feud. We liked Family Feud. And that was on Game Show Network. Richard Dawson.
Oh, okay.
Wait, when were you born again?
It would be reruns on Family. We used to watch Game Show Network all the time and like
they
play.
have live ones though. That are actually new that you haven't seen the results before.
Well, I didn't know the difference.
Who do you like better, Family Feud, Louis Anderson or Paula Poundstone as the host?
Louis Anderson hosted Family Feud.
I've watched a lot more Family Feud. I've watched a lot more Family Feud than you have.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, like Richard Dawson was always on. Like we used to watch Game Show Network all the time and like play the games.
Yeah,
like me and my mom and my sister. When my dad would be at a game or working late.
We watched Wheel of Fortune every night, and my mom kicked my ass every night, every single night. I think I got like one word in 6 years. Yeah,
we played. We did game shows and we did live action. We did reality TV. That was it.
They would flip an A, and she'd be like arachnophobia, and I'm like, what? Why am I here? There's no point for me to be here.
But we had like Road Rules, and we had Road Rules was like a big thing. Like the MTVs were kind of big when I was a kid. We had the VH1s.
What was the guy
like
behind
the? I used to watch Behind the Music all the time when I was a kid. Not like when I was like 8, but when I was like 15, 16, 17, I watched Behind the Music all the time on VH1. We used to watch, dude. What
was your favorite Behind the Music? The Bengals?
I don't even remember, but they were good. I liked them all. We also Did you watch
Hill Street Blues?
This will sound a little nerdy. Like I don't even really care. I watched like Discovery Channel.
Did you watch Night Court?
When I got to college, we didn't have that many. Like, no,
John's face right now.
We used to watch Discovery Channel. We used to watch. It wasn't National Geographic, Animal Network or whatever the heck it was. I don't remember what it was called. I used to like stuff like that. I used to like the Discovery Channel, like Doctor one. Like,
yeah, we didn't have these options. Just being real with you, like we had.
It was
3
amazing.
Cable stations and the local stations. That's why we watched Cheers after the local news.
And they used to do like surgeries and stuff. I was fascinated by it. I thought it was super cool.
I was actually just about to say that when the Learning Channel, I discovered this probably 10th grade, started airing surgeries. I couldn't take my eyes off of it.
That was intense.
I mean, that was what I watched.
Be like open heart surgery. I'm like, I have to watch this.
It was just straight nerd. And then Shark Week was like the greatest week of the year.
We didn't have that.
We had Shark Week. I mean, I just didn't watch TV. Like y'all's generation watched TV. Actually, Cole's generation might have listened to the radio, but we watched TV.
Did. I listened to
very sparingly.
What was once this station on my way to high school every morning.
I used to listen to Kid Craddock in the morning.
It's not a BP anymore. There was a BP on the corner of Lakeshore and Green Springs. I would pull my 1980 Impala into that BP every morning. I'd put 2 quarters in the USA Today machine. I would get it out. I would take that, listen to sports radio on my way in. I would get to school where we all hung out on our pod before we went to our first class. I would pull the red section out and leave the rest of it there. I had a good friend named Chris Bidden who would always pull the rest of it. He wanted to read the actual news, which I could care less about. And I read the Major League Baseball or NFL box scores right there. Went through them every single day. That's what I did.
Kid Craddock in the morning. Ugh. I'm from Texas.
Every day.
Now, unfortunately, I feel sorry for you because you never said that you watch Body Shaping in the mornings before school. So you really missed out on that.
Yeah, man.
We used to watch World Strongman a lot. Does that count?
How could you not watch?
Exact
if you were a sports fan when you were a kid, I mean, it was you came across that because you're waiting for games to come on.
I was amazed by it.
Or you woke up
How
in the middle of the night.
big are those boulders? I don't know, 300 kilograms. I was like, okay. No, unimpressed. These guys are fat. I mean, it was, I don't know, dude. We just didn't watch a lot of TV. Like, we were outside all the time. If the sun was out, we were outside.
But see, here's where you're getting confused. You're making this sound like all we did was sit in front of the television.
I'm not saying it was.
Our options were so limited that we remember exactly what we watched. So
yes.
There were only so many options. Like Nick tweets in, we had Monday Night Football, Dukes of Hazzard, TGIF, and Saturday night's main event. Saturday night's main event ripped. It was like a pay-per-view every Saturday night.
What was that? What was Saturday night's main event?
It was the first time WWF went to like network television every Saturday night. And it was like a literal pay-per-view every Saturday night. Like the real people wrestled. It was like Hogan versus Iron Sheik, Macho Man versus Nikolai Volkov. Like it wasn't like JYD actually showed up versus Andre the Giant. Like it was real matches, not, the jobbers that are in the house shows or whatever. It was like big deal. It was on network television, so they were going to make it look like a big deal. And it was awesome. We just didn't have the options. Like, all this Shark Week and like Discovery Plus, National Geographic. We didn't have those channels. I told you we had to manually change the cable box. Not fun.
Yeah. But I do think that the limitations, though, made television more consumable. Because if everybody was watching the same thing, there was a FOMO. Like
I had to know if it was good or bad because there wasn't a lot to compare.
Well, there wasn't a lot to compare it to, but you also had a FOMO that when I go to school, I have to have watched what everybody else was watching. There was almost like this external pressure. That's why the OC was so big for our generation, because everybody watched it. And if I missed what happened between Ryan and Summer, I had to know, and so I could engage in conversation the next day at school. Like it mattered. And Summer and and
is that Misha Barton?
No, Misha Barton was the other one. Summer was the brunette, and Seth and Summer, and I don't even remember I think her name started with an M. I can't really remember.
John?
Well, it was Rachel Bilson and
Rachel Bilson was Summer.
Misha Barton.
And Misha Barton was what was her
they rivals?
stage name?
That was Marissa Cooper.
Were they rivals?
There you go.
Yes and no. Frenemies, I guess, would be the term.
No, they were best friends.
They were best friends, but also, kind of yelled at each other sometimes.
Yelled.
Yeah. It's very dramatic. It's highly engaging.
Okay.
Hey, remember, this was the era, too, when Shaq was in L.A., Kobe was in L.A., Dirk was in Dallas. Like, Dallas was awesome. The
Juan
Lakers
Gonzalez,
were going
Yvonne
all the
Rodriguez
time.
for the Rangers.
A-Rod.
Oh, it was after them, then A-Rod era.
Yeah, Rafael Palmeiro, Rusty Greer.
God, all the steroids.
All of them. I mean, they were terrible, but it's
Eric
just
Gagne.
like you watch them every year. Eric, and the Dodgers were Gagne, and we caught a little bit of Manny Ramirez there for a little bit.
Did you get Puig?
Yasiel Puig does a little later, but Yasiel Puig was great. I mean, we had great. Oh gosh,
who was rolling for the Kings?
Paul LaDuca.
Yeah, he was big. Who was for the Kings
in the 2000s? Jonathan Quick. You had Daryl Sador.
Is he related to Mike Quick?
It was Jason Williams, Chris Webber, Doug Christie.
The Kings were good, and the Mavs had a little bit of a rivalry with Sacramento.
Divock got in there for a second.
Yeah, Vlade go in there and
Mike
give you
Bibby came in late.
Bibby
17 good minutes.
Scott Pollard.
Steve Nash. Michael Finley.
Scott Pollard, who actually did acknowledge me at the BJCC when Kansas practiced, unlike Roy Williams.
It'd be one thing if our teams weren't like good. Our teams were good. So it was pretty fun. Pretty fun era to grow up in watching
the
those
Angels?
guys. Huh?
Angels. Is that post Wally Joyner?
Of Anaheim?
Mm-hmm.
No, they had Tim Salmon. We went to some Angel games. Like, I wouldn't say I was an Angel fan, but we went. My first World Series game that I ever went to was Angels Giants. The Rally Monkey.
Is that the one that Bonds hit one into the smoke and like people literally never saw it land?
We were at that game.
Golly. He shredded that World Series, by the way.
He did.
All right, we'll be back with more right after this.
Name the group. Not John. He knows.
I knew it anyway.
A lot of hits, this group.
All one of them.
Honestly, I don't know.
Whew. Glad I'm not alone.
The Wallflowers.
Close.
Mm.
Damien?
I'm not upset that I don't know this, by the
Good
way.
walkout song, by the way.
Tell me, like,
This would be a good walkout song.
you're a bad person for not knowing this. I don't really care.
If you grow out your hair, if you're living in Birmingham, grow out your hair, rock a puka shell necklace, and go to the home plate and hit dingers, you're walking out to this.
In sandals.
And you're wearing croc cleats. Phantom Planet. Come on, who doesn't know that?
I was just informed that the
Absolutely.
neighborhood market Vestavia has the Pop-Tart ice cream sandwiches.
Oh, really?
All right.
Maybe not after today.
No.
Bye.
Might not.
Might not.
anymore.
It was fun. while it
Who's the
lasted.
band? I don't know who.
Phantom Planet.
Phantom Planet, yeah.
Everybody knows them.
Oh, like Phantom Menace spinoff?
Same thing.
Okay.
Essentially.
One hit, but if your one hit's a TV show theme song, you'll take that bread.
Michael Kirby tweets in, I remember when King Kong Bundy breaking Hulk Hogan's ribs on Saturday night's main event, the lead up to WrestleMania 2. Hogan with his ribs wrapped fought King Kong Bundy in a steel cage match, Mr. T-Box, Rowdy Roddy Piper, good times. I remember that. And I remember specifically that Hogan had his ribs taped and he was doing dips with like 45s like hanging off of his waist in between his legs in the back, like to get warmed up for the match. And he was just sitting there just cranking either dips or pull-ups, one or the other. He's just cranking them out in the back. Pythons all oiled up, just talking about all the stuff he was going to do to King Kong. It was great. Back in
Just
the day.
all greased up.
That wasn't the best part, but yeah.
I love that Cole remembers that.
I just
They
remember
were
him,
so
he's like,
shiny.
Doing an interview while he's like, why are you doing pull-ups while you're doing an interview?
Cole's the type to put Vaseline on his arms in the game, so it looks all slick, all yoked
Couldn't get
up.
hold of you.
No, he's an Ice Cube guy. He's no Vaseline.
Didn't want defensive holding to happen. Had to knock that out.
Speaking of ice, you can go over to Bromberg's. And Bromberg's
Bling,
this
bling.
week will get you taken care of. Right now is their biggest sale of the year. The Big Diamond Sale. It started on the 5th. It'll run through Saturday the 10th. You could save up to 50% off dazzling diamond jewelry and loose diamonds from Alabama's most trusted jeweler since 1836. It's kind of time if you're ready to pop the question. You want to get something for mom? Mother's Day is on Sunday, so get out in front of it. Or if you want to add a piece to your own collection, this is the time to buy. You have timeless engagement rings, everyday essentials like studs, bracelets, pendants. You'll find incredible pieces at unbeatable prices. This is the time to go, so go now. You have 2 days. Do not put it off. Go to the Mountain Brook Village store or the Summit location. The expert team will guide you to the perfect diamond wrapped in the signature silver box from Bromberg. So hurry, these savings won't last forever. It's the Big Diamond Sale at Bromberg's, May 5th through 10th at the Mountain Brook Village store or at the Summit.
I had to go back and check the numbers on this just because I knew it was completely insane and wanted to see it again. That World Series that you were referencing.
Yes.
2002.
2003? Oh, it was 2. Okay.
2002. Barry Bonds came up to bat officially 17 times in that World Series.
Yes.
He was 8 for 17, scored 8 runs. He hit 471 in the World Series. He struck out just 3 times, 4 home runs in his 8 hits. He was walked 13 times. 8 for 17, 4 home runs, 6 runs driven in. Thanks for the help, guys.
Appreciate it, fellas.
He had an on-base percentage of 700.
That's insane.
He slugged 1294.
Dude, he hit the home run. I mean, it was.
I'll tell you,
we were sitting. I remember
home run.
exactly where I was sitting. I was sitting down the first base line, and the crack of the bat was so loud. And we were not. We did not have good seats. I mean, we were just. Hey, I've never been to a World Series game. Gotta go. We are going. So Dad and I went, and it was amazing. It was a great experience. And the sound of the bat was so violent when he would make contact. It just sounded so different than everybody. And there were good players on both teams, but he was just different, dude. And the rally monkey was amazing. I remember the rally monkey more than I probably even remember.
We're no one surprised by that at all.
Well, like you don't remember the rally monkey?
Not more than Barry Bonds hitting home runs, no.
Barry Bonds hit like 800 home runs in his career, so.
Almost. John, I just sent you the clip of it. I don't know how it sounds, but God, it almost looks like he got off the end of the bat too. And the cameraman literally can't find the ball. He never found it. Like never saw it come down. And I think they pan over to, I think it's Saban, and he says that you can see him mouth. He goes, "That's the farthest ball I've ever seen hit." And it was just completely insane. I saw him homer. I saw him homer off Smoltz
Game
late.
2. This is it.
I saw him homer off Smoltz late in a playoff game in Atlanta. And the game was over, and this was Smoltz first started relieving. And a buddy I was with, Bo Kerr, used to work at Sanford. He was like, let's go here. We're going to drive back to Birmingham. And I was like, no. Bonds is coming up. He's like, it's like a 7-run game. I was like, I don't care. And you could tell Smoltz was like, we're just going to see. We're just going to see what happens.
How good
he was gassing him right down the middle, and Bonds hit one about 40 yards over the foul pole. And I mean, it's like you said, though, it sounded so different than every other player. We had a national sales meeting in Denver one time, and a guy I went to high school with, Alex Marriott. He played baseball at Auburn. We were just talking, and I was like, the Giants are in town. And he was like, what? And we were supposed to have this, like, I don't know, concert, get together, whatever, like that night. And he like gets on his phone. He goes, I got us 2 behind home plate. We're going. So we skip the whole thing and we go. First ball Bonds hits is a line drive up the middle. And I promise you, it was about 5 yards from the center fielder before it started coming down. And it's like you said, the sound of his bat was just so different than everybody else. It was incredible.
Golly,
this ball, dude. Like, do you have the audio?
Ripped into right field. It's a 1-run game.
Keep in mind, this is bottom of the ninth, or top of the ninth, 2 outs. The crowd is going bananas, and listen to how loud the crack of the bat is.
Ripped into right field.
It is so loud.
And the best part is how quickly Buck, he doesn't say it's a home run, but he says it's a 1-run game. Listen how fast he's like, after the ball's hit.
And there's some player that says that's the farthest ball I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's Tim Saban.
Yeah, it's Saban.
Troy Gloss, I forgot about him. Golly, dude, the Angels were sweet back then.
I don't know about that.
They were good, dude. They had a good team. Angel Hernandez was one of the umpires. Too soon?
No.
Troy Percival.
Oh, yeah, everybody's favorite.
Okay.
Old TP.
Garrett Anderson. Darren Erstad.
Darren Erstad.
Well,
David Eckstein.
This is all steroid era, man.
I remember him as a Cardinal.
Okay.
Like everybody gets mad at Bonds. All these other guys who got to 20 home runs because of steroids and like made a name for themselves. That's the hilarious part.
Francisco Rodriguez.
Yeah.
A young one, too.
Yeah, baby pup. They were a good team.
Aaron Seeley. Yeah. Great team.
Golly, how good is baseball back then?
Benji Gill.
Think about how good baseball was back then.
The best.
These kids don't understand.
They really don't. We don't even get splash hits anymore.
Tim Salmon. What a baseball name.
Almost as good as Polar Bear Services.
Polar Bear Services is a one-stop shop. If you have something that you need at your home, Polar Bear Services will get you taken care of. They've helped me with my plumbing. They've helped me with my electrical. Wes and the guys have been terrific for years. Been using them for a long time. Very, very grateful to the services that I've received. You can call them today and get you out to your house and get you taken care of because the hot summer months are coming. There's no doubt about it. We know things are going to get tough. The warm weather is here and temperatures are starting to creep up. So you know hard summer work ahead for your cooling system. Make sure your system is prepared by having it checked by the experts at Polar Bear Services. The last thing you want is your air conditioning system going out when it's 95 degrees outside. That is the absolute worst possible situation. They can do that for you. They also, because it's storm season, consider a whole home generator system for Polar Bear Services. They can get you taken care of. So remember, if you have a problem with your electrical, plumbing, heat, or air, just pick up the phone and call the Bears. 205-497-BEAR. It's 497-BEAR.
Like, this is what I'm talking about. Troy Gloss hit 30 home runs. Y'all are mad at Bonds for hitting 70.
Troy Gloss
hit 30.
Troy Gloss was an all-time like great.
Scott Spezio hit 12.
Troy Gloss is like a
Brad Fulmer hit 19.
Uh-oh.
We should probably go
put everybody in.
We should probably go
4-time All-Star.
Your homeboy.
Put everybody in.
World Series MVP. 2-time Silver Slugger. Led the AL in the home runs in 2000. Like, he wasn't bad.
With how many?
I don't know. I need to look that up. He also won the bronze in the Olympic Games.
47.
It's a lot of bombs.
So Troy Gloss hit 47, but y'all are mad at Bonds for hitting 70. Got it. Noted.
No one's mad at Bonds.
Yes, yes, they are.
There's a whole book about it.
Yes, they are.
An entire witch hunt about it.
Oh, God.
But yeah, they're not mad at him.
Troy Gloss was
The whole
6'5".
entire commissioner's office tried to take him down.
Yeah.
Brad Fulmer hit 19.
How bad were the Angels unis when they had these
worst.
these blue?
The worst ever.
Oh, God. How
The
bad is that?
pinstripe cutoff sleeves.
Yes.
It's awful.
Oh, that's brutal.
It's not good.
Oh, that's ugly.
Scott Spiezio
Tim
hit 12 home
Salmon.
runs.
Tim Salmon was their best player, though. No, career
nah,
282 hitter.
He hit 22 in 2002. I mean, I would say best overall player probably Garrett Anderson, but no, I think Salmon was a tad overrated.
Oh,
That's
here
just
we go.
Let's just go look at the numbers.
I don't doubt it. I don't remember. I just remember as a kid, everybody was great.
Yeah, because his name was Salmon, and everybody thought it was cool. He was okay. He was fine.
Yeah,
But you're putting everybody in the Hall of Fame. So like you put Troy Percival in the Hall of Fame.
Troy Gloss more All-Star appearances than Garrett Anderson.
I'm not the one that tried to put either one of them in the Hall of Fame. You are, so you can have that argument with yourself.
Also,
I think
40
they're both
more
above
home
average.
runs. 40 more home runs.
They're both solid players, but Hall of Fame should not be in the same chapter of a book, much less paragraph.
Garrett Anderson's a Angels Hall of Famer.
That's good.
Ooh, a lot of good ones in this.
With who? Wally Joyner, Reggie Jackson,
Tim Salmon,
Mike Scioscia.
Tim Salmon went in 2015. Garrett Anderson went in 2016.
Rod Carew in there.
Rod Crew's in there. Went in 91. Nolan Ryan went in.
Nolan Ryan should be in.
Vlad.
Yeah.
Mike Scott. No, it's Astros. Never mind.
The 2002 World Series team's in the Hall of Fame.
The whole team?
Yeah.
Oh, hey. Hall of Famer.
Joe Madden was a bench coach. Put him in there. All right, we'll be back with more after this. 9:43 Thursday, May 8th, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. One thing that we have not gotten to yet today, Greg, that we do need to discuss is there's a little bit of chatter about ESPN now being open to paying more money to the SEC if it moves to 9 conference games. Andrew Marchand and Seth Emerson reported this yesterday. A couple of others backed it up with, I guess they can find sources that confirm it, which is mean they talked to those sources after the guys that talked to them first did. Great. Good for you. Never understand that. Sorry. Never going to be on board with it. But this could be good news for SEC fans that ESPN looking to pay up to add an extra conference game.
Yeah, more money, more inventory, and one extra SEC game a year. I think there's obviously a few hurdles. The SEC is going to have to get their way when it comes to college football playoff consideration, meaning either they expand the field or they put a new premium on the strength of schedule, which I think everyone's been pushing for. I don't think that's going to be a tough hill to climb, but I think it's great. I have said this for a long time, and I mean this with absolutely no disrespect to the lower levels of the sport. The FCS, the D2 levels, I think they're phenomenal. I want us to subsidize them at the highest levels of the sport. If the Big Ten and the SEC could just carve out a small little sliver of their overall budget to give and to subsidize those levels of football, I'd be totally supported, but I do not want to see those games. I don't want to see them. I don't think they're good for the overall health of the sport.
You're saying you don't want to see them against the SEC and the Big Ten.
Correct.
You don't mind seeing them against one another. Because it sounds like you're saying you don't want to see them play at all. I want to clarify that. That came out as like you don't want to see them play, and that's not what you're saying.
Well, I hope if people interpret it that way, me saying that we subsidize their programs, I hope that we can continue to provide opportunities for guys to play at that level of football. I think it's a great, great level of football. There's a ton of great players that come from it that are overlooked in the recruiting process, and everyone deserves a chance. I'm all supportive of that. But I don't think having an FCS team play at an SEC team in November is good for the overall sport. I think it waters down the product. And I will go to my deathbed believing that. I
actually do think, though, going to 9 conference games will aid in at least holding on to one of those.
Maybe.
For those smaller schools, because there's no way you may go schedule one other difficult non-conference game, and we already know for Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Kentucky, those are all going to be taken care of. You're not going to go schedule another one against Clemson, Ohio State, USC, Washington. You're not doing it. You're not doing it.
Might not.
So that is good news for Samford, Jacksonville State, Citadel, East Tennessee State, schools like that, Mercer, because they're not going to go play another, maybe Power 4, maybe. I think that's probably even a stretch. You give me 9 conference games, and then I got to play another Power 5 rivalry game at the end of the season in non-conference. You're getting Prairie View and Texas A&M Commerce. Sorry, guys. You just are. No administration's going to do that to their football coach or their football team. They're not doing it.
Maybe not.
And I don't think they should.
Maybe not.
If you're playing essentially 10 conference games a year, you're those schools, you need a game or two to just figure some things out.
Have some legs.
Yeah. I'm fine with that if it wants to be week 1. If you want a glorified preseason. I have no problem with that. Get your guys some live action.
I would actually like it to be mandated that a different team has to play that game in a different week of the season.
Fine.
Alabama, you get yours week 1. Arkansas, you get yours week 2. Auburn, you get yours week 3. Kentucky, you get yours week 4. Oklahoma, you get yours week 5. That way we don't have to have them all week 1 and week 8, whatever it is.
Yeah.
9, 10, wherever. We don't need lettuce weekend. We need just a little bit of lettuce every week all the way down the path.
Yep.
Seems reasonable.
Just make that lettuce trail all the way down to the national championship game. One every week.
I don't know if I can get on board with that.
I can.
Put them all in the first 3 weeks.
That's because when they're all jammed into one weekend, you don't have to work them.
That's fair. I mean, I'm not going to deny that this does come from my perspective. Yeah. I mean, there is some selfish motivation involved here. I also acknowledge that there is a place for those games because it does allow opportunities for fans to go and experience that game day experience in stadium for less money.
And other players to actually get in games.
Correct. But
which with roster spots, we're doing that. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm about to say. Let me tell you how much I'm not worried about that. They're getting paid. You play when you're told to play. Like, you figure it out. Be fine. Practice harder. Get in the games and make meaningful games. Practice harder and play in meaningful games. That's your choice.
Be bigger and stronger.
Be bigger, stronger, and better. I mean,
Get fast.
Sorry, dog eat dog. But I don't know if you're going to get a lot better by playing against a team up 49-0. Sorry.
Maybe not getting better, but getting a chance to play.
You're also probably going to you get the chance to play in practice against your peers, not against people that are lesser than in some cases. So that's my own personal perspective. I think there are benefits to those games. If those games could relocate to the spring, totally support it. We could not be more supportive of it as a way to subsidize those institutions. I want that. I want that level of football to remain healthy and competitive. And whatever we have to do to make that happen, I'm all for. But I don't think it's good for the overall health of the sport to put exhibition games in the regular season. I just don't. I don't think it's good for the FCS teams, by the way. Go and get beat up? Like, is that good? Like, your job is to go win a championship.
For the program, it is. For the player, it's not.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's great for the program. But I don't think it's good. Like, what if they lose their quarterback against Auburn week 3? And now all of a sudden they're done. Like, that stinks. So, and guess what? In all likelihood, probably can't block them.
Hey, we missed a couple of good players, like all-time Angels players.
Yeah.
Jim Edmonds.
Yeah, great.
He's an Angel?
Pujols.
Well, it was the backstretch, but yeah.
He was there.
He's there.
And name alone.
Rafael Furcal.
Shohei Ohtani.
No, Dodger.
Forgot to mention him.
Great. One of the great Dodgers of all time.
Torrey Hunter.
Yeah, I do remember him.
I love Torrey Hunter. He was one of my favorite players. Never had any, affiliation with any of the teams I supported, but I loved Torrey Hunter. I always thought
Winfield will always be remembered more as a Yankee Padre, I believe, but played there.
Yeah. Just
saying, there are some all-time greats. Maybe players that actually do deserve to be discussed to potentially get into the Hall of Fame one day.
Are the Anaheim Angels
Dick Schofield?
Are the Anaheim Angels the MLS for Premier League players?
What is it? I don't know. I don't speak soccer.
Like, when they get done playing at a crazy high level in Europe, they go to the Angels.
Oh yeah, they're the
MLS.
Okay.
And if you get done playing at a really high level,
yes, like Spice
then
Girl's
you go to the
husband.
Angels. Like who?
Spice Girl husband. What's his name? I don't know his name.
David
Beckham.
Yeah,
I think
David
Posh is David Beckham's wife.
No.
You got Posh 1, David Beckham 2 in that relationship?
I've seen probably more of Posh Spice than David Beckham performances in my life.
That's TMI.
Because I've seen music videos. I don't think I've
between
ever
that
watched a game in which David Beckham was
between that
participating.
and your Gossip Girl obsession, you've revealed a lot to
Take it. All right, back with more after this. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Don't forget our friends at Game Day Men's Health. If you're feeling on edge, if you're lacking sleep, Game Day Men's Health can help you. Free consultation by going to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now. Sign up for that free consultation, free PSA test, free testosterone test. They'll give you a baseline where your health is right now. Weight loss programs, also the peptides in stock now to just help you live a better life, feel better inside your daily routine. Holistic approach to health and wellness. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com. That's GameDayMen'sHealth.com. So essentially, does this get done between ESPN and the SEC? We go to a ninth conference game and the SEC gets the extra money?
I think so. I'd be surprised if it doesn't go down. I think there will be. I think there's going to have to be some concessions made within the college football playoff committee meetings, which have been going on for a while. They have to put a premium on strength of schedule, and if they do, I think this is a foregone conclusion.
I know a lot of people would be excited about it. A lot of people would look forward to it, and we'll keep you posted on the latest, where it's going to go inside the SEC. Ralph Russo joined us earlier to discuss the President's Commission on College Athletics, which includes Nick Saban. Craig Smoke talked Baylor with us earlier today, Auburn's initial opponent for the upcoming season. Wim Sanderson with us as well. Get those podcasts at JocksFM.com, in the Jocks app, Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you get yours. Keep it locked right here on Jocks as Three-Man Front comes your way next on Jocks 94.5.
It is 10 o'clock on a overcast. It's not raining. That's the good news on this Thursday. Pat Landrum, Conrad, Molly with you until 2 o'clock. So much to get into. Man, as soon as we go off the air yesterday, I know Paul's off. Paul's in the process of moving to the 205.
It's a lot of stuff to move for Paul.
Yeah, so he's been off. The radio show continues, but he has not been on the program. But usually these big announcements wait until Paul Feinbaum comes on the air so that he gets all the fun and frivolity. And yesterday when we go off the air, man, everything started happening from Trump potentially going to name Nick Saban to the presidential commission. You have the House settlement revisions that was posted to Judge Claudia Wilkins' court. Then we have the ESPN story coming out that they're going to pay the SEC more money to adding the 9th conference game. So, man, it was just like everywhere you turn, there was some type of breaking news story. So we're going to get into all of that in today's program. And we're going to start at 10:30 as one of the most famous attorneys in the country when it comes to NIL and college athletics, Mitt Winter. He is an attorney in Kansas City, Missouri. He has been a frequent guest on this program. He is quoted everywhere that stories are written about this ongoing situation with the House settlement and what's going on in the future with NIL. He will join us at 10:30 to give us his very latest thoughts on this ever-going fluid situation. Rodney Orr, Rob Pate, and also Outkicks Trey Wallace will join us at noon. So a very, very busy show coming up.
Yeah, you left out Mitt Winter was the pride of William and Mary basketball.
That's right.
Back in his collegiate days.
Played basketball. So he's got a very interesting angle to all of this. But let's start with a topic that we discussed yesterday. And one of the Pat Ponders questions had to do with, Nick Saban and the future of maybe him politically and just him being involved with President Trump. But a federal commission on college athletics appears to be in the works. That story broke yesterday that President Donald Trump, he directed his aides to start putting together some language in which he will most likely form this presidential commission, that he wants Nick Saban to be a co-chair, along with a very famous and very rich man from the state of Texas, an energy tycoon, a billionaire, a board of trustee member for Texas Tech University. Cody Campbell is going to be a co-chair. He was the NIL co-founder at Texas Tech. He's the one that wrote all those big checks for the $10 million they spent in this last transfer portal cycle. Just $10 million. Because he sold his company for $4.1 billion. By the way, Campbell played 4 years for Mike Leach. He was an offensive lineman for Texas Tech. So he's got football.
He's a smarty, too.
Yeah, he was. Matter of fact, he graduated with honors from the Texas Tech Business School.
Yeah. Should have studied harder. Or is that, I think that's just God-given. That brain. That's all God-given. Cody, just thank God every day.
So
$4.1 billion.
$4.1 billion, he sold his company.
How much seed money did it take to start up that tech company, that energy company? I bet it wasn't $4.1 billion.
Maybe he took some of the money that he got under the table from Mike Leach and Texas Tech back in the day.
The statute of limitations. You're good.
Yeah. Really doesn't matter anymore. We all know it happened. We can talk about it.
Yeah.
It's no big deal.
Yep.
So it appears now Saban is going to get involved. What all of this means. We asked the folks at Three Man Front on the Twitter page, Molly, in regards to, can Nick Saban be the savior?
Yeah, will a presidential commission co-chaired by Nick Saban bring about significant change in college football? Yes, the GOAT gets it done, or no, it will be a waste of time and energy. Right now, winning with 64.3% is yes, he'll get it done. 35.7% saying no, it's a waste of time.
How'd you vote, Conrad? You think the GOAT gets it done?
I voted no, and it's nothing against Nick Saban. It's just I think the reality of do we really expect anything to come from this? It's a nice idea, and I like that we're laying the groundwork for.
Well, you know what? It's more than we've had in the past 4 years, 5 years.
I 100% agree with that.
Yep.
I also don't think we're going to get a lot more than we've gotten in the last 4 or 5 years.
Here's how the headline will read: Saban saves college athletics.
That's what we all hope it says, just because we all know it needs help.
It does need help. It's sick.
But I want someone to share with us at 3 Man Front. You can tweet us, you can text us, you can call us. Give me the last time that a committee or commission was successful. Do we view the college football playoff committee as a success every year?
Well, we did get 12 teams this year.
Do we view that the NCAA basketball committee got it right this year?
For the most part, I think they did.
Yeah, generally speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Did the January 6th commission get it right?
Are we still waiting for the verdict on Doge, or can we lump that in there too?
Yeah, I'm just throwing out the famous or infamous commissions and committees we've had. No matter what walk of life you're in, I just want to hear examples of success, because I think this is a bunch of do about nothing.
I've been around just on a much smaller level, a lot of party planning committees that have pulled off great events that people enjoyed.
We had a good rush committee in college for my fraternity.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of drama in those party committees, though. You watch The Office; they're always going back at each other.
Now, I've heard nightmare stories about homeowners associations, but that's an association. Is that an actual committee?
I'm not sure if they actually
I don't
have
know.
committee members.
They're not comparable. Association committee completely separate.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how this is going to work. We'll get more details, but that is.
So I'm guessing Nick has said that he'll do it, right?
I would think that if the president of the United States.
But let's be fair. President Trump, he could have just assumed that Nick Saban was all on board without.
Well, we had that
consulting with Nick
conversation.
Saban.
Why would he say no?
Yeah.
Miss Terry wakes him up this morning. Nick, did you agree to this?
Now Nick can't say no.
That's right.
Well, I guess he could, but.
I do find it interesting that the audience believes 64, 65%?
64.
64% of the audience believes something will come out of this, something positive.
I do too.
Okay, if somebody was named co-chair that was not Nick Saban, do you think that number is anywhere close to 65%?
No, it's not even 50%.
I don't even know if it's 30%.
But you also are now going to, and it will be very interesting to see how Nick Saban handles the criticism, because we've already seen some. We saw the attorney the other day come out and slam Nick Saban for him making $11 million his final year. And all these people are going to come out and say, well, Nick Saban made all this money. Meanwhile, all these players, while he was making that money at Alabama, they weren't making that kind of cash. And so now he is trying to tamp down the financial expectations for college athletes.
Is he even busier now than he was when he was coaching? He's on College Game Day. Now he's on this committee. He's still on the payroll at Alabama. He still does Nick's kids stuff. I mean, in terms of retirement, he's very busy.
And is this a conflict of interest if he's going to be on this commission? Does Alabama continue to pay him $500,000?
That's a good point. Because they got so much out of that last year.
I felt like they did.
Probably needed to go to the dry erase board a few more times.
Gave us some content.
Yes. Unfortunately, yes.
We talked about that office quite a bit.
Yeah, we did, didn't we? Yeah.
What if it's revealed and he gets in some back and forth with some senator or congressperson, and it's kind of like one of those A Few Good Men scenes? Did you order the code red? You're dadgum right, I did. You have no idea how much money was going under the table in my time. Just kidding.
Those Dodge Challengers didn't pay for themselves.
We were supporting student athletes way before NIL.
You know how hard it is to get 30 of those every year?
Oh, yeah, maybe not.
So apparently now he's going to dip his toe into some of this political jargon. So good luck with that.
This is going to be good training for his Senate run.
Yes, it will. Also, yesterday, there was a revised filing made in the House versus the NCAA settlement regarding roster limits. Any athlete who has been or would have been cut as a result of the settlement can now be grandfathered in, meaning they will not count against a new roster limit for the duration of their college eligibility. This reminds me a lot of what happened during COVID, where they gave everybody an additional 6th year of eligibility. So any decisions to retain those athletes will be made at the discretion of the individual schools, but the revision allows those grandfathered athletes to either return or remain with your original school or go to a new school. So they have options. Now, Judge Wilkin is allowing 3 lawyers for the objectors who focused on the proposed roster limits to file responses by May 13th. Wilkin is also allowing the plaintiffs in the NCAA conferences to file replies by May 16th. So remember yesterday you guys asked me, or the question was, will this be settled by the end of the week? Well, we've now got some dates on the calendar. So certain attorneys have until May 13th. The NCAA and the conferences will then have May 16th to respond. So this is going to go on a little while longer. Meanwhile, the Notre Dame AD, Pete Bavacqua, a long proponent of phasing in roster limits, he told Yahoo Sports this morning that the school will honor the roster spot of all current athletes and permit those who were cut this year to return to Notre Dame. And so the general feeling is that more schools will adopt what Notre Dame is doing. So they're doing everything they can to at least make Judge Claudia Wilkin happy. Now, there's one objector that they've already released a statement through their attorney. They're not happy with this whatsoever. It says, while the NCAA and class council have acknowledged our objection to roster caps is valid, their proposed mushy modification doesn't go far enough. Many student athletes have had something taken away from them. This fight will continue. And that coming from Stephen F. Molo, his attorney. He is one of the many objectors. So they said they did not go far enough.
Yeah, not everybody's got to agree. Hopefully we just get some kind of resolution by the end of next week.
Just move on. Yep.
Yeah, let's get it done.
You're right, though. You said next Friday. Looks like you may have hit a nail on the head.
Maybe. Potentially. We just don't want to go to trial.
Yeah, it would be catastrophic.
Because, I mean, if it goes to trial, I mean, is there any belief that anything would be resolved before the actual season starts?
Oh, you're talking about.
I mean, this would take months.
That's the equivalent of hitting the nuke button.
There was something that you brought up this morning on Morning Jocks, and I want you to go a little bit deeper into that about one of the ideas about this commission. It is, a lot of people did not realize this, but one of the things that you brought up on the show this morning is how the commission can help maybe for the future develop conferences and develop how different teams will be able to play with each other in regards to, okay, to me, that's telling me this is laying the groundwork for the super conference.
Yeah. I think you're probably right with that, because that was one of the, if you read, I guess, the description of what the committee or the commission is going to do, that is one of them. Title IX applications were part of it as well. But yeah, that would be very interesting if you essentially had people that got in a room together and said, okay, we think this is what would be best in terms of how many teams you're going to have in the conferences. Because we've gone through all these different ideas that people have had of, the Super 8 and the way that you could divvy everything up. And maybe it is. And with Nick Saban being at the forefront, I think more people are just going to go onto so the SEC and Big Ten are going to go and do their own thing and then leave everybody else with the scraps. But it seems like this is a short term, hey, we're doing something about it, but long term could have some very interesting applications.
But your co-chairs, it does make sense that you have the greatest college football coach we've ever seen, and just most recently was coaching up until last year, and now the most prominent NIL booster that's out there.
It's kind of interesting that you have both sides of that, right? Because you have the coaching perspective of it, and then a guy that some people would probably point the finger at and go, you're part of the problem in college athletics, but his perspective obviously very important to getting guidelines.
The only thing missing on this committee is Gordon Gee. Let's get that voice in there.
Please no.
Just when everything seems like it's moving in the right direction.
Well, one thing we did talk about, and you can
how many
hear
times has happened with that guy?
You can hear it tonight on the Bill Clark Show, is we talked about the haves and the have-nots. because this all sounds great about this commission that they're putting together. But at the end of the day, the same thing is going to happen before they came up with this commission, which is the Alabama and the Auburns of the world are going to continue to play at a certain level. And if you think that they're going to level the playing field for UAB and Troy and Jacksonville State and South Alabama, you are dead wrong. It is not going to happen. This is just another brick in the foundation of changing the way that we view college athletics. And the haves are going to continue to get theirs, and the have-nots are going to probably have to drop down to the FCS or create their own division separate from the Power Four. That's the only way that this is going to work in college football. College basketball, completely different animal. But when college football goes, you cannot have 134 schools playing under the same umbrella because a MAC school cannot afford $20 million to pay their student athletes.
And the Texases and Georgias of the world are never going to agree. Oh, well, we'll just set the cap at $5 billion.
No,
they don't want to limit what they have with their resources.
But can you figure out a way when you restructure this deal where those teams, if they drop down to the next level, not saying FCS, maybe it's that in between the Power Four and the FCS, is there a way to make it where it's actually more beneficial to them when they set this up, and some way with the media rights deal and some other things that are thrown in, which is why I'm guessing that Texas Tech guy, Cody, is on this committee. They figure out a way where it could actually be more profitable for those schools.
I still want the European Soccer League rules, right? Let's do relegation every year.
Relegation would be fun.
It would be fun.
It would just be really good content.
It would.
Well, it's all going to come down to salary caps. How much money is going to be capped for the Power Four? And then if you want to play in the smaller division with the UABs and the South Alabamas of the world, then that's going to be capped at a smaller number. And then obviously FCS is going to be even a smaller number.
And this would just be for college football, though.
Yeah, my proposal would just be for college.
Yeah, you don't mess with the other
football.
sports because then you really start mucking some things up.
No, I mean, listen, and we talked about it. Mike Rodak brought this up on Friday with me and Molly. You know, he's a graduate of Providence College. Okay, they don't have a football team. They're loving this because they're going to be able to take all that money
and they already have a good basketball program. Now it's going to be even better.
So they're going to invest all that money into their basketball program. They don't have to worry about paying 80 cents on a dollar for a football program. That doesn't matter to them. So they can invest in their basketball product.
Now it's like, man, it kind of makes sense why Mark Few's at Gonzaga still. He probably saw this coming and went, oh, that's going to be great for us.
UConn's kicking themselves.
Yeah.
But the football schools in the deep south, I mean, they're sitting there going like, what are we doing? So, I mean,
absolutely.
It's, the Northeastern schools in the Big East, they're perfectly happy with this. No problem, guys.
Well, spring weather in Alabama can be really unpredictable, so that's why you need the reliability of a Train, voted America's most trusted HVAC brand. And right now you can receive up to a 10-year warranty on parts and labor on select Train home comfort systems. So to find out more, go and visit Train.com.
Only comeback on three-man front. Is ESPN ready to open the purse strings and pay the Southeastern Conference? Well, one story came out yesterday and says they are. We'll get into that next on three-man front. We were just talking about the Big East Conference, how they're salivating, ready to invest a lot of money into their programs. News happening this morning that Alabama basketball is working towards adding St. John's to its non-conference basketball schedule with a game this November in Madison Square Garden. The Tide's NIL collective Yay Alabama announced it on Thursday. St. John's, which was upset by number 2 seed Arkansas in the 2025 NCAA tournament, is considered one of the best teams in the country entering 2025-26. CBS Sports' John Rothstein currently ranks the Red Storm as number 3. CBS Sports' Gary Parrish pegs them at number 2. A lot of people, including Joe Lenardi, has them as one of the top 4 seeds for next year's NCAA tournament. St. John's has the 247 Sports number 1 ranked incoming transfer portal class in 2025. So that would be a really good matchup between Alabama and St. John's.
So now, because we talked about this recently with, does the SEC need to maybe scale back the non-conference a little bit because of how good the conference itself has become? So now for Alabama next year, you're playing St. John's and Purdue, who are both going to be top 5 teams in the country. Illinois, who's regularly very good. You have Arizona as well. You're also going to have the SEC, ACC Challenge.
Don't forget Yale.
And Yale. And you also have the NIL tournament that they will play at the beginning of the year. So... Yep, going to be a difficult season, but hey, that's the way that Nate Oates likes to do it.
Well, speaking of the difficult schedules, the SEC and ESPN, this is going to be an interesting conversation. They will be in Destin in a few weeks. Not really sure if anything will happen before then because we still have the conundrum with the college football playoff. What is going to happen? How many teams? Because the SEC and the coaches, they have been very headstrong in regards to why do we need to add an additional 9th conference game if we're going to be penalized? Because with 8 conference games, Alabama, Ole Miss, and South Carolina did not get consideration into the college football playoff. So why would we want to add an additional game that could potentially torpedo our potential of getting in the CFP? The story broke yesterday that ESPN is willing to pay between $50 and $80 million a year on top of their contract, which already pays the SEC $811 million a year to broadcast their sporting events. Now, this change in ESPN's stance of paying more money for that additional conference game does not mean the SEC will definitely move to playing those 9 conference games, as I mentioned, because of the college football playoff question mark. But it is possible, if they can get in a room in Destin and they can hammer this stuff out, potentially you could have a solution very soon on that 9th conference game. So we'll have to hold our breath and see, but it's definitely now very interesting that ESPN is ready to talk. And if you saw the Wall Street report on the Disney company over the last day or two, it has been a banner first quarter.
That's good
for Disney.
That's great for Disney.
So maybe that's where they're finding a few more dollars that have fallen out of people's pockets as they're riding Space Mountain. And they said, hey, we can just put that money towards the SEC.
It's so funny you said Space Mountain. I saw a documentary yesterday on Space Mountain.
Of course.
In the building of that. Yeah.
Have you ever ridden Space Mountain with the lights on?
No.
It's nightmare fuel. How close you realize you get to hitting something
but I know the ride,
thin margins.
Historically, that ride, especially in the past, it broke down and they would turn the lights on inside of the big dome and people would be able to see it. But they all actually offer rides where they put the, there's a lot of tight turns in there.
It's terrifying.
Oh, it's fun.
I mean, it's fun, but in the sense of like, oh man, if I was
it was the world's first all indoor steel roller coaster.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
It's a great ride.
10 years of planning before they started building it. And it was built for $20 million, the equivalent to $96 million in today's currency.
God, that's all. Okay.
Yeah.
Could win a national championship with that.
Mm-hmm. You can
I mean,
maybe 2.
Yeah, maybe even 2.
So it will be interesting to see what happens because these meetings in Destin's the last couple of years, ESPN, they've been hell-bent. They're like, we're not giving you another dime. And we're paying you $811 million a year. We don't need to give you one more penny more. And the SEC says, well, if you're not going to give us any more money, well, we're not going to play another game.
Yeah, why are we going to put more skin in the game?
No point. Not to mention the fact that 3 of our teams got screwed last year in the college football playoff and we only played 8. Maybe they ought to play 6. Go back and play 6 like they did in the old days.
This is good for us, the fan. More SEC games.
I'm fine with that.
You still might have that week lettuce weekend schedule, but this is one less.
I mean, look, I'm perfectly fine. You have 9 conference games, one, let's say, premier, Power 4 non-conference game, right? And then 2 cupcakes. I'm fine with that.
Look, I've said it a million times. The COVID, as bad as COVID was, having the head-on-head each week was awesome to look forward to.
Incredible. It was great.
Well, it was touch and go until Thursday when you started getting the participation reports.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's get more of that in a healthy year.
It's a good year. That was last year Alabama was any good, so that was fun.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I'm kidding.
See what that tough schedule did?
Yeah.
You see what that grind did?
Iron sharpens iron,
it
baby.
It got them ready to win a title.
It did. That's right.
Coming up next on Three Man Front, Mitt Winter's going to join the program. We'll get his thoughts on all of the goings on from the House settlement, the latest NIL, the Presidential Commission with Nick Saban. All that next on Three Man Front.